the wild heart of the Pine Tree State, a city was forged in fire, timber, and unbreakable American will. Here in 1779, American heroes scuttled their own fleet rather than surrender to tyranny. In 1814, British invaders tasted Maine resolve when they dared occupy these streets. By the 1830s, Bangor became the lumber capital of the world. 300 sawmills screaming day and night, timber that built American cities, ships that reached every ocean. During the Second World War, Dow Air Force Base launched thousands of heroes across the North Atlantic ferry route, the very gateway that helped crush fascism and save the free world. Tested by the Great Fire of 1911 that nearly erased her, the Queen City rose again, prouder, taller, eternal. And in the spirit of Maine's legendary arenas, where the eyes of the world watched giants clash and legends rise, history is about to be written once more. Tonight, in Bangor, Maine, 8 warriors step into the arena, 8 defenders of liberty, 8 champions of the American dream. They come not for power, but for Maine, for the Constitution, for the future of the greatest state in the greatest nation on earth. This is the night that will shape Maine's destiny. This is where history is made. This is the debate, a clash in the Queen City. Have arrived, depending on how you want to describe it. Right now, looking at John Bush straight ahead of us, and John Featherston and Jack Gately here. Graham Pollard is around here somewhere. We're thrilled to be joining everybody here.
We've got all 8 candidates here.
All 8 candidates.
And I wanted to give each one of an opportunity, 30 seconds. Just tell everybody, why you're here tonight, what you're hoping to accomplish.
Well, I am hoping to accomplish a certain case, to make a certain case that the next governor of Maine should be a Republican. And in order for that to happen, the Republicans should put forward an outsider who's got no connections to D.C. or Augusta, who is a competent CEO, who has run things at scale, who also might be a good time. And that's the case I'm going to try to make. We'll see how it goes.
How do people learn more about your campaign?
JonathanBush.org, or just open up anything.
Great. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for setting this up.
No, thank you.
All right, John, who do we got next here?
Who's coming up next? Owen, come on over. Owen, introduce yourself to the crowd and tell everybody why you're here tonight and what you're hoping to accomplish.
Owen McCarthy, and I'm
right here on the camera.
The camera's right here. Yeah. Owen McCarthy, I'm here to make the case why I should be the next governor of the state of Maine. I want to tell people about my plan, Maine 2040, built to lead again, which is the year that my kids will be in the workforce. Don't worry, there's some short-term things in there as well. Creating opportunity, building affordability, running the state with discipline.
What are you hoping happens tonight?
I hope tonight that it clearly stands out that I'm the guy with a plan. I'm the only candidate with roots north of Augusta, and I'm an engineer and a problem solver, and I think that will stand out on the stage.
How do people learn more about the campaign?
OwenForMaine.com. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Instagram. My TikTok's weak right now, but we'll improve it a little bit. You can find me there too.
Hey, thanks for coming tonight.
Sean.
Good luck.
Thank you, Owen.
Thank you.
The great David Jones. How are you, my friend?
Oh, fantastic.
So what brings you here tonight?
Wow,
What
let
are
me
you
tell you
hoping to
what-
accomplish? Tell us a little bit about the campaign.
Well, what did I do? Why am I here tonight? I'm here to make Maine great again is why I'm here. And, make sure we get really good people elected. That's the point. This is a process. The primary process is the way of vetting the candidates, finding out who they are, what they stand for. And, listen, we've got a great bench this year. There's a lot of good candidates. I like most of them. All right. But I'll tell you this, whoever wins, I'm behind them 150%. And, Republicans have to stand together. At first I was a little, let's just go in a room and have it out. And we'll see who the person is that walks out of the room. But, this is good. It airs all the things. And then when we go into the general election, and I think I can win the general election out of all the candidates, they're going to know everything there is to know. And if you're not bulletproof, I'm sorry. You won't make it.
What do you expect to happen tonight?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting. An opportunity for us to finally engage with all the candidates. So we've had one candidate in particular who didn't show up a lot. I think it was 4 different debates. So that person's here tonight, right? But I'd say let's bring it on. Let's open up the dialect. Let's have the conversation, and let's make sure that whoever the best person is wins.
All right. Well, how do people learn more about the campaign and everything?
You can go to jones2026.com. That's jones2026.com, and call me. My phone number is 207-650-3455. I take calls or text, whatever works for you.
I can tell you he answers his phone, so that's very good. Great.
Good.
Mr. Jones, thanks. Have a great night tonight.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Wessels, you available? Robert Wessels is coming over to join us. There's the camera. But what brings you by here tonight, and what do you hope happens?
I am here, and I am hoping, my goal is to communicate with Maine voters all over the state and let them know, give them my message, and talk about how big 2026 is.
What do you expect to happen on the debate stage? I mean, we've got all 8 candidates on the stage tonight for the first time in the debate. And what do you think happens tonight?
Yeah, so there's 8 of us, and quite honestly, a lot of us are pretty similar in views, but the reality is that we're reaching the stage in the primary where people are going to start seeing the differences in personality, the differences in approach, and kind of the minute differences in some of our policies and procedures and stuff like that. So I think you're going to see more of that, and it's going to grow tonight.
If people want to learn more about the campaign and get involved in the campaign, how do they learn more about you?
Absolutely. VoteRobertWessels.com. VoteRobertWessels.com. They can volunteer, they can donate, they can just learn about the campaign.
Great. Robert, great. Thanks for joining us. Good
Thank
luck
you.
tonight.
Thank you guys
Always
for
a
putting it
pleasure.
on.
Thank you. Mr. Midgley, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. All right. What brings you by here tonight?
Yeah.
Here's the camera right over here. Speak to the camera. Had nothing better to do. You figured you'd come to Bangor on a Tuesday night. But...
So looking forward to talking about all the issues with everybody. I think you guys have a beautiful setup. I mean, really, it's the best we've seen so far. The stage looks great. Big screen. Audio looks perfect. Podium. Super organized. Everybody seems completely engaged. So hopefully we'll have a good discussion about all the serious issues that are facing the state right now, because we got a lot of them.
So, as you mentioned, all 8 candidates are going to be on the stage for the first time tonight in tonight's debate. This debate's going to be a little bit different than, some of the other debates. What do you expect that happens, I
mean, look, I'm maybe a little bit more of an optimist than other people. I think everyone's going to be probably fairly cordial. I mean, my gut is they should be, because these are not easy issues that we're dealing with in the state right now. And if we don't win this election, things are going to get a lot worse. So I think what people came here to see and hear are answers to these near crisis level situations that we have. And hopefully people are going to focus on that, keep it relatively clean and cordial, and let people leave here feeling a lot better about the candidates they have running for office.
How do people learn more about the campaign?
Just go to benforgovernor.com or go to our Facebook page, the same Ben for Governor on Facebook. And keep an eye on what we're doing.
Well, great. Thanks for coming tonight.
Right.
It's a pleasure and honor. I hope
Thanks,
you have a
Al.
good fun
All
tonight,
right.
and we'll talk after the
Thank you
debate.
so much.
Bobby Charles is signing autographs over here right now.
He's signing
But,
people.
Mr. Charles, you're signing autographs, I see over there.
Signing shirts.
Okay, so camera's here. What brings you by tonight? What brings you by to Bangor?
Well, here is a great opportunity for all of us to educate Maine about what is wrong and where the solutions are and how to get it right. And so I am honored to be here tonight with a number of my Republican colleagues, and of course with the Maine Wire, who has given us a lot of the facts that we will discuss tonight. And it's just an honor to be here and to have a chance to educate people.
Good. What do you think? What are you looking forward to tonight?
I think if we are our best selves, we will talk policy. There may not be everybody wanting to talk policy, so if somebody strikes out, we'll respond. But otherwise, I think we're just going to have a good time here, trying to enjoy the company of people who also see that the state of Maine is in deep trouble and needs real responsive leadership. And I am committed to that leadership. This is my life mission. And frankly, it's probably the life mission of a few other people. And probably half the people in this room tonight will be people who truly believe that if we don't get it right this cycle, we're done.
How do people learn more about your campaign?
Please just go to bobbyformaine.com. We have almost 4,000 small dollar contributors. BobbyForMaine.com gives you that chance. Also a chance to see the white papers, all the energy policies, all the things we want to do. And what do we really want to do? We want to cut taxes, which means cutting spending and all the waste and all the illegal aliens. We want to get the crime out of the state, which means getting rid of the drug traffickers. We want to get the woke out of our schools. And the final thing we want to do is get the fraud out of this state. We are, I think if we can swallow that elephant, we're going to be in good shape.
No small job. Hey,
Yes, sir.
hope you have fun tonight. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it.
And we'll talk after the debate.
We will.
Thank you.
So that is the field. We have said hello to every. There's so much energy in this room. I will say that I am a little surprised at just how sharp and electric this room is. John Gately, you heard mentioned that this is a little different atmosphere that you're used to from Massachusetts politics.
All the candidates, they just seem so approachable and friendly. They're not. I'm sure they're all a little bit wound up because it's a debate, but they seem like approachable and like they're fired up. And I think they're feeding off each other in terms of the energy. And it definitely seems just a little bit more friendlier than Massachusetts.
Well, it's Maine, the way life should be, you know? I mean, it is, but, you know, the one thing that has always attracted me to Maine is Mainers are nice people. And even if you disagree, you can find some common ground. And, you know, we still have to grab Garrett Mason and Jim Libby. I don't know why we didn't get them, and we will get them. But you know, the nice thing about Maine is, you know, people in Maine are nice. And maybe, I'll say it, maybe you've been too nice, that we've allowed things to be overlooked and like, oh, it's okay. No, Maine has a fraud problem. Maine has a crime problem. Maine has a drug problem. And you know, I think it's the first, you know, mantra is to always treat people the way you want to be treated and be nice. But sometimes you have to have the hard discussions in politics and like, this is not right. Go to Bangor, go to Lewiston, go to Portland. Tell me that everything's right in those cities. A lot of good, but not everything is right. So
I just met like 6 or 7 of these candidates as they came in the door, and they felt so loose, like much looser than I would say your Massachusetts politicians feel. Like, you know,
Cordoned off mind
in Massachusetts, a little bit much more guarded.
Yes,
but these guys, they're ready to rumble tonight.
Yeah, and Garrett Mason, who actually, when you walked in, he was the first guy you met. He's the youngest of the pack. He's 40 years old. And he actually mentioned something that John was saying there, that you know, Republicans have let this happen to the state. He's the first one who's contrite about that. He has gone on Maine Wire before in the Robinson Report and done a long-form interview and said, yeah, when we were in power, because they were in power, they got swept in with the Tea Party in 2010. He said, when we were in power, we should have pushed harder. We should have locked our policy positions in, and we didn't. And now we're seeing it just spill out. So is Massachusetts, but we're seeing what happens when the rot settles in and a party has no worry about there being reprisals at the polls, then it just creates a disaster area. And that's what we're living in Maine.
Well, it takes just a long time to like realize, you know, when I grew up, the Berlin Wall fell and I thought, okay, we defeated communism. That is it. It's over. We don't have to worry about this ever again for the rest of our lives. And then it comes back at when, you know, starting in the kind of the Obama administration and accelerate thereafter. And you're like, whoa, no, this can't be right. No, they're not really saying that.
Well, isn't that a great point that you said that you're thinking it's over, but you're right. With communism, it's never over. It comes back just dressed differently. Oh, I'm doing climate now. But wait, you seem like the communist was here talking about overpopulation a few years ago. No. We're doing trans stuff now.
Another VIP guest, Jim Libby, front of the cover. What brings you by here?
I thought I would stop in and have a little debate. You know,
Hey, Jim,
a little bit of fun.
hit the button on that mic.
Here we go. Yeah, start over.
All right. Well, I thought I'd stop in and have a little bit of a debate. What do you think about the debate so far?
Well, I think it's going to be great. I think it's great that we have 8 candidates for the first time on the stage. But, I'd really like to get your take on it. I mean, this is the first time that all 8 of you candidates are going to be on the stage. I expect that, there's going to be, a lot of policy talked about. We're going to talk a lot about. But what are your expectations tonight?
Well, first of all, I've taken over the mic and now he doesn't have it. So now, and I'm a politician, so you're going to get a little bit of that here. I think it's great. So I think in Republican politics involving things like green rooms and having a reception and all the things that we're doing today, have a little bit of alcohol involved in there and people are having a good time. That's what really matters, because, people look at politics and they think to themselves, what is this really all about? Some people don't like to be anywhere near it. I don't blame them. And, I don't mean to be back to, by the way. It's nice to see you. But I think this is so good for the Republican Party to have this many candidates make it through the whole process. We've got one guy, he's been campaigning for 2 years. And so there's something to be said for that. And I've got a lot of admiration for, what that person has done. I've been campaigning since last June. It's been a long campaign. I think we've been able to make our case without spending a lot of money because we're a clean elections candidate. We're about to qualify for clean elections. We've got the number of contributions that we need, over 4,000 at this point. We're pretty happy about that. It's really it's a tough go. The state makes you input the data yourself into their system instead of them doing it. And so we got used to that in a hurry. But anyway,
how do people learn more about your campaign?
They go to jimlibbyforgovernor.com. I like to keep it simple. My name is James, but I'd rather go by Jim. And I keep it simple. You'll see if you go on there, 10,000 words on policy. And I've got a PhD in public policy, so I'm going to go on. And I'm an academic. I've been involved in academia. This is my 32nd year. I've taught full-time at St. Joseph's College. I've taught full-time at Colby College. And I've been 24 years now at Thomas College. So I love working to train our young people. And I'll talk a lot today about training our labor force. It's really what it's all about, Maine people. So it's a privilege to be involved in that. And at the same time, I've been working full time. I've been able to be a state senator 4 times and a state representative too. I mean, I've got it made.
All right, the important question. How's your NCAA bracket look?
My bracket, it looks pretty good. I have to tell you right now, I'm a Rick Pitino fan. A lot of people are not, but look, you gotta think back to the good old days when this is his 4th program in a Final Four. And that is amazing. There's only 2 other people that have done that. And when you're as old as I am, and I'm about to turn 66 this year, then you remember Rick Pitino and all of the ups that he's had and some of those downs, like the one that's so famous. Larry Bird is not coming through that door.
Yep.
But, he said he's done so many good things. I'm a college educator, and I used to be a college basketball coach. So that's why I admire Rick Pitino, because he really knows the old school way. When he went to St. John's, did you expect them to go to the Sweet 16? No. Did they? Yes. So I'm not sure if I said Final Four. I shouldn't have. It's Sweet 16 they're in. But it's amazing that he has done that.
All right. Well, good luck tonight.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Pleasure. Thanks for coming over. Always a pleasure. We'll talk soon.
Pleasure to meet you.
Garrett Mason joins us now.
Garrett Mason, what brings you to Bangor on a Tuesday night?
I was just kicking around. Figured I'd, stop in and see what's up. But
so,
what are you doing, boys?
What are your thoughts on the debate tonight?
Oh, I'm excited. It's not my first rodeo. I do love situations like this, so I think it's going to be fun. I think in this campaign, as I've talked about before, it's like I'm not sure it's so much a difference of ideas. I think we all have a lot of the same ideas and ways that we want to get stuff done. I think it's just more leadership stuff. It's what kind of experience do you have in the business world and in government, all these things. So I think we'll talk about that tonight. But yeah, I'm feeling good and having a great time.
As a former Senate president, you have to sit there and look at Maine and go, okay, we've got some real opportunities tonight. And and is that going to start with the new governor?
I has to, right? I mean, it has to. It's as somebody who served from 2010 to 2018 when things were going great. We're making some real improvement. I mean, the taxes that you're about to file, the rates that they are is because of the Republican legislature in 2011. We made some real lasting change, but the only way that we can do this in this next election is we have a Republican governor. And it is my firm belief that we have to have somebody who can go in there right away, not walk around and try to find the bathrooms or, where everything is. You got to know right on day one. And I think I bring a unique set of experiences that can do that. So, I'd vote for any one of these men. I really would. It's just, I think the set of skills that I have is just a little bit different for what we need right now.
How do people learn more about the campaign?
You can go to masonformaine.com. You can also join us on YouTube at The Garrett Mason Show, where I lay out all of my policies and random musings du jour.
Great.
So,
We'll catch you after the debate. We'll
All right.
get your feedback on how the debate went. But good luck tonight.
all right, thanks, boys.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks.
So much. Well, anybody who's everybody who's anybody. That's right. Maine Republican politics is in this room right now, Jack, and it is. I'm loving the electricity. I think that these candidates. I do predict that these candidates, a couple of them do scrap with each other. They have to. Somebody has to build some separation. So. And you heard them. Bobby Charles suggested, if somebody misbehaves, then maybe I'll have to come back at him. To me, that means that a couple of these guys are looking for the knives, and they expect there's going to be some action.
What I want to know is, did you guys coordinate the military flyover? Because there was this giant military cargo plane that landed while Featherston was doing the interviews, and I'm like, this is like a NASCAR race.
Come on, Jack. You know that. Come on.
The Maine Wire always has flyovers for their remote broadcast.
We're a live event, and we have another candidate running for office, not for governor, but for the Augusta School Board, the world famous Corn Pop. Nick, come on over. This is Jack.
How are you? Hey, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Tom, you've known Tom. And yeah, tell us a little bit about why you're here tonight. What's going on?
So, my name is Nicholas Blanchard. I'm running for the Augusta at-large seat for the special election for June 9th. But I'm here to show my support for David Jones and just here to see the excitement. I think the fact that you guys are putting on a debate that's more exciting than what the GOP did is pretty awesome.
Nick, let me ask you something. David Jones, he's a guy who's got a successful resume. He's had a successful life. You've been at these school board meetings trying to push back against the insanity, the Title IX stuff, the girls and boys locker room stuff, the trans stuff, the weird erotic books and classroom stuff. Why is he the guy that can use the executive branch to make that stuff happen?
So one reason that I'll say that I think he's the guy is because he's one of the candidates that is showing up to these school board meetings. He is the one showing up to these city council meetings. I mean, how often do you see him in Lewiston showing up to the Lewiston City Council meeting speaking about fraud and all that? One thing I made a post about, if Bobby Charles showed up to more school board meetings and more city council meetings as much as he showed up in DC, that maybe he if he wants to, if he likes DC so much, why doesn't he primary Susan Collins? That would be a perfect seat for him. But I think David Jones is the guy because I see him out there fighting. I don't see him sitting on the sidelines. I don't see him just on social media. Yep. You see him out there in the arena speaking at these meetings and, saying what his plans are.
Here we go. All right. Well, enjoy the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
See you. Nice meeting you.
Great to see you. Always a pleasure. We'll catch you after the debate, too. Well, I want to get your sights on what you thought after the debate is over. All right?
I do got one question. How are you guys deciding who the winner is tonight?
I don't know. I guess we're going to secret ballot at some point.
Stay tuned. Right. Stay tuned.
Oh, nice.
We report, you decide.
So that's it. So we've gone through all the candidates. I was mentioning earlier that Garrett Mason had told Steve that he felt the last time around when he was serving that they didn't lock in enough change, the Republicans. Well, we know that he just talked about the low tax rate, so sure. But then again, Janet Mills has nickel and dime the amount the taxpayers of Maine
absolutely
over the last couple of years anyway. So, and this would be, I'm sorry, your state is lost, John. So I don't see, I believe you're going to have a Governor Healy for quite a while. But, isn't the lesson, though, that if you ever get power again, if Republicans in blue states get power again, the lesson is to be just as aggressive as the Democrats are. Just as aggressive. And they're going to scream bloody murder the whole time you do it. They're going to say people are dying and, we're being mean and racist and all that stuff. But, man, you've got to enact the bold agendas that the kind of things that most Republicans in these blue states are afraid to talk about.
Foot on the, if we ever win again, foot got to be on the pedal the whole time. Every day you're there is a day closer to when you're not there. Learned that when I worked at the State House back in the 90s. And I got to tell you, one thing that I just observed about these 10 men, they're really lucky that there's not a woman in the field.
Oh,
yeah, right. Because actually we know what a woman is in this party. And if there was 10 men and 1 woman, that's an advantage. And these guys are lucky.
Yes, but particularly one behind you, about 14 feet, who's named Reagan Paul, who's a up-and-comer in the state. very aggressive Republican politician.
Oh yeah, she's great. She's good. You talked about tax increase, and Garrett talked about how when you're filing your taxes now, you're on that Republican tax. But the one thing that doesn't get talked a lot about yet in this campaign is energy, and any tax decrease or good tax plan has been wiped out by the cost of electricity here in Maine. Maine has had the largest increase in cost of energy across the nation, and now are number 2 in the United States for electric costs to heat your home. It's cold in Maine. It's expensive to heat your home in Maine. And that's all because of Democrat woke policies. It has nothing to do with, like the cost. It's all because of policies. And I think it's going to be interesting tonight if any of these candidates are going to touch on it because taxes are huge. Fraud is huge. Yeah. But energy is big too, because I just filled up my oil tank. There's snow on the ground.
Yeah. It's expensive as hell. We are heating a 300-year-old house in Massachusetts, and we owe them thousands of dollars. I don't even look at the bill anymore when it comes in. I just wait for we're about to shut you off notice. I'm like, okay, now it's time to move. But in Maine, a third of the energy coming to Maine is nuclear from out of state. So we won't do nuclear in-state because it's a 3 Mile Island, because of the China Syndrome movie came out 50 years ago. We won't do nuclear in-state, but we're getting it from out of state, like for some principle.
Yeah.
The Maine energy policy has been to shoot themselves in the foot by policy, much like Massachusetts.
But, the liberal woke Democrats, they feel good about it. It's green energy. It's the future. It's sustainability. It's not sustainable, people. People can't afford, you're going to have people freezing to death in their houses the next winter if you do not elect a Republican governor. People are going to say, oh, that's hyperbole. It's not, because people can't afford to live and pay their, oil bills, wait for your shutoff notice. Well, what if the shutoff notice comes and it's 2 below? What happens then?
Well, exactly. And we've got in Maine the same thing that Jack Gately, you have with that hero of a woman on Cape Cod who keeps documenting the windmills that either they're spinning or falling into the water or not spinning. But if they are spinning, there's nowhere to save the energy unless you need it. So, the insanity is right there for everybody to see.
Right. And they'd have to build these giant battery installations, lithium batteries. They never go on fire. But heaven forbid New Hampshire drops out of the New England power grid, which they should do. If they were just plain Machiavellian about it, they should drop out instead of sending all their power to Maine and Massachusetts. It just doesn't make sense for them to be in it. Heaven forbid they ever drop out. But hey, the technology from when my uncle, he was a union pipe fitter. He helped build Pilgrim power plant in Plymouth, where I live. The technology from the 1970s when they were building power plants, that's like the Volkswagen Beetle of the technology. And now what we have, or what we'll have in the next year or 2 or 3 for nuclear technology, it's just it's a world of difference.
Yeah, you hear about it described, the modular reactors, where they can toggle them up and down, and they're also, you can put them on a train and move them. It's like the times we have changed, and it's just so interesting that the Democrats, who were the young and cool and hip people, remember they gave us Steve Jobs, right? Why are they Luddites? No, as a matter of fact, the same people are pushing back against data places for AI in Maine. Yeah. It's the way of the future. AI is it. It is all. It is the language we're all going to be speaking that's going to control everything and change everything for us. And this idea that you're not going to be on a data center, these data centers will create more electricity than they consume. Maybe not at first, but really, really quickly they will. What are you kidding? The thousands of people that data centers will employ as well. Every other state is cleaning up, saying we're creating new company towns, not in the negative way, but from these huge data centers, jobs, resources. It's amazing. And for Maine in Massachusetts to push back against it, what are you even doing?
We have a little bit of a VIP drop in from Susan Collins' office, as comm director. Come on, introduce yourself.
I'm Sean Roderick with Senator Collins' campaign. We have a team of us here tonight. The senator is looking forward to working with whoever wins this primary to take back our state. So Team Collins is here to see how it goes tonight, and we look forward to working with whoever the nominee is. So campaign's going, well. Graham Plattner, Janet Mills has woken up and started attacking Graham Plattner. So we'll see what happens.
All right, you went there. So as the comms directors for Susan Collins, every day when you wake up, Graham Plattner responds or Janet Mills drops another ad. I mean, what's the conversation around the water cooler in the office?
It's all helpful because it puts it out there that who they really are.
We're looking forward to it all along. But tell us a little bit about the campaign. What's going on behind the scenes? With the campaign.
I mean, right now we're letting Graham and Governor Mills go at it, working hard, ramping up our efforts to get town and county chairs, really building the team up, and you're going to see some more about that here in the coming weeks. And Senator Collins is doing what Senator Collins always does, which is work hard for the people of Maine, delivering. There's not a community in Maine that doesn't have something because of Senator Collins, whether it's a fire station, whether it's Bath Iron Works with BIW. It's Senator Collins works extremely hard for Maine, and she wants to continue doing that.
Well, it's John Featherston's opinion. This race is so much more important than even like it's getting in the media. Susan Collins is the 5th most powerful person probably in the federal government. And she can't, head of appropriations. If she doesn't win this election, do you want Graham Plattner writing the checkbook for the United States of America? Do you want Janet Mills based on her record of running the state? So those are my words.
Right. No, absolutely. Maine, I mean, would a rookie United States senator be able to do what Susan Collins has done? Absolutely not.
People learn more about Senator Collins and get involved.
You can go to susancollins.com and sign up and join our effort to keep moving Maine forward.
Thanks for taking a couple minutes. Great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
One of the things that we've had developing, Jack Gately, is that we've got Graham Plattner now attacking the grocery chains. They're doing this base level of attacking companies as price gougers and as people who are opportunists taking advantage of the struggling middle class and lower class. So like an attack on your state's own businesses, it's tough enough here, but to have a campaign, Graham Plattner's campaign, to be all about going after oligarchs, whatever that is, and going after the state's businesses. We want big business in the state. You want small business too, but you want big business. That is not only a retrograde, but that is a terrible thing for morale for a state.
Tom, everything should be free. I don't know what's wrong with you. Housing's a human right. Food's a human right. And of course, the intellectual argument behind that is if it's a human right, then that means to have to be provided by somebody that gets not paid. There's a word for that too.
Yes.
Communism and slavery are not altogether that much different.
Isn't it pathetic though that we're doing? I mean, you were wrangling people. By the way, excellent job with the marathon interview. Wow,
the guy works miracles left and right.
He's varsity.
But we were talking about this before. Jack and I were about communism and how it never really goes away; it just comes back in a different form.
Right, in a different form, yeah.
This is like our 4th run through with this stuff. It used to be,
but it's more concerning this run through.
I agree with you. But I remember, we've got my family's from Vermont, and I remember in the 80s, Bernie Sanders was going around scaring old people. That's how he got elected mayor in Burlington, and that's how he got elected to higher office. But he was always considered a joke. It was always like Bernie Sanders is not actually going to be a high-profile guy because too many Americans saw what communism did to the earth post-World War II. And so, nobody would really embrace him. Then the Bernie became a movement. If the Democratic establishment hadn't tried to whack him, that guy could have gotten the nomination, maybe even twice.
How soon we forget. Do we have another guest?
Well, I wanted to give this guy kudos. And once again, it's a John Featherston opinion. This is the first elected official I've heard in Maine in 2026 really speak out about fraud. Tell us about what's going on. Trey Stewart.
I mean, what you're seeing happen, if you watch national news in Minnesota, which seems to be sort of where the spotlight is. The same exact thing is happening here in the state of Maine. It's on a comparable level. It's just we have less people here in the state of Maine, but it's the exact same problem. So if you think it's bad in Minnesota, it's just as bad here. And it might be worse. I mean, yeah, that's not at all an understatement. So I think when I, look at what's happening with the state budget right now, they're setting aside tens of millions of dollars right now just to deal within the Democrat budget with the fraud issue. That's all money that I don't ever want to hear another Democratic politician in the state of Maine say that they care about senior citizens or they care about, the most vulnerable populations, because they're literally letting tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions. I actually think it's in the hundreds of millions personally. Hundreds of millions of dollars go to this fraud scheme instead of under the guise of public assistance, instead of the people that's actually intended for. So we have got to get Republican majorities in the legislature this year, which I feel confident we absolutely are within reach. It's 3 seats in the House, 3 seats in the Senate. That makes all the difference in the world, because then we're electing the people that are going to go prosecute these criminals in the legislature. So that's what needs to happen. And I just hope that Maine folks are finally starting to wake up to what has happened under this Democratic cabal for the last 8 years we've been living under.
Can I give you a nickel's worth of free advice? When you guys, the Republicans, hold their press conferences, can you hold them in front of Janet Mills's office and demand that she sits down and meets with you? I'm being dead serious, because you guys have played nice, but now it's time to kind of take the, the gloves off and hit back, because, if the clock runs out and Janet Mills isn't held accountable for the fraud in the state, then she's won, and we don't want her to win.
Well, and the thing is, there's the statute of limitations, right? And so that's going to extend beyond the election cycle. And so, honestly, if I'm a member of that sort of Democrat scheme and I'm benefiting from it, I'm really getting concerned now about prosecution coming from those who are actually going to hold criminals accountable in this state. And so we've seen, obviously, the attorney general has failed at that, but the attorney general is a function of the legislature. So we win the legislature, we get a new attorney general who's actually going to go after these people and prosecute them and hold them accountable, which is obviously why these same folks are then turning around and bankrolling Democratic campaigns for the legislature. But ultimately, it's up to the Maine people to decide which direction they want to go in. I think Maine people have had enough of this. I think they're ready to see new leadership. And, we're the tip of the spear to make that happen.
I'm glad that I jumped in just in time to get the John Featherston "You guys need to be tough" lecture. You should listen to John. John's been around the block, but how are we feeling today?
Good. Steve Robinson hosting the debate tonight, the moderator. We should make a note that there's 8 candidates. So essentially there'll be 5 questions.
Yeah.
8 candidates. Each candidate gets 90 seconds. So, time's going to we'll be moving quick. So that means not only are we going to have to be on point, or Steve's going to have to be on point, but these candidates need to do everything they can in their 90 seconds, be as effective as possible.
Trains are going to run on time.
They are. I got my boxing bell and I will wield it viciously. And I see Pastor Travis walking in now. I'm regretting that we didn't do some kind of a opening prayer for this event. I don't know if it's too late to shoehorn him into something.
Ooh, it's never too late for a prayer.
But also the trains need to run on time, so I don't want to add more time to this. Yeah. I'm going to jump back with the candidates, guys.
There we go. Steve Robinson, right in front of a really big night we're having. Now, the candidates, we did ask to submit some videos to us. And so we want to get to those videos right now. These are about a minute and a half, 2 minutes each.
So we're doing something a little bit innovative and different. There's going to be no opening statements from the candidates in this debate. So in lieu of the opening statements, we've had each candidate submit a video, basically their opportunity to pitch themselves to the voters. So you want to get started with Ben Midgley?
Sure, let's jump right in.
This is what Ben Midgley sent to us.
Maine is supposed to be the way life should be. And it's not the way life should be anymore. It's too hard for people. Seems like every decision made over the last 7 years was the wrong decision. Wrong for Maine families. Wrong for people trying to make a living. Wrong for our kids in the schools. Wrong for our seniors. And wrong for just about everywhere that Maine needs to go. But we can fix this. We can turn this around. I am not a politician. I'm first a husband, a father, and a businessman. I never graduated college. I've been on unemployment. I've been on food stamps. But I still managed to run several big companies. One, I built from scratch to 500 locations, over $1 billion in revenue, and I created 15,000 jobs. So I know how to figure it out. I grew up here, my wife grew up here. Maine's just not what it used to be. There's a lot of people in the state right now that are really at their breaking point. We've got 430,000 people that require state health care. And if they make minimum wage or a basic income, they're gonna lose their benefits. We've got 100,000 Mainers right now who can't even afford their electric bill. We've got senior citizens who have to choose between prescription drugs and groceries. We have the highest level of drug overdoses and drug-related deaths that the state's really ever seen. So when you bring outside thinking from the business world into government, you can find more efficiencies, you can get to the right answers quickly, and then you can come up with some great outcomes. The only thing I care about is taking care of people in Maine. I will break my back for the people of Maine. Just try me.
Well, there we go. That was Ben Midgley. Not a bad spot. Pretty strong. He actually comes off like that in person as well. He's kind of an alpha dude. Rags to Riches story. He told a story. Good use of his 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I like the production value on that. I like that he was hitting the gym hard because he was a former owner, CEO of Crunch Fitness. So yeah, but Ben is in an interesting spot. I think a lot of people in their comments seem to like him. In terms of polling, he's kind of middle of the pack, it seems like. So today's a big opportunity for him. But
what do we got next
we
here?
got Jim Libby we're going to go to
Here
right
we
now.
go.
And I'm running for governor. I've been working in Maine my entire career, with you and beside you every step of the way.
Grow the economy. Lower taxes. Less government. Eliminate fraud. Fix education. Cut crime. Let's lower the cost of living.
People tell me they need a change in government.
Get government out of your life. Make the economy work. We're going to lower taxes, fix education, and God knows we need it.
Be a cold day in hell before we let men play in women's sports.
I support Jim Libby for governor. He understands the need for tax relief and the economic development for the state of Maine.
I'm backing Jim Libby for governor that can help me change the laws so that it's better for veterans.
Voting for Jim Libby, the kind of leadership that this state needs.
I support Jim Libby for Maine governor. He truly cares about the future of our great state.
Jim knows how to get things done. I hope you'll join me in supporting Jim Libby for governor.
That's what you want. You want somebody that believes in conservative values, but also the traditions that make Maine great. If you vote for me, you're voting for somebody that's been supporting you every step of the way.
Not only is he an amazing dad, but he also does what's right for Mainers. I love you, Dad.
Thanks for being such an amazing dad. I love you and I miss you so much.
I support Jim Libby for governor. He truly cares about the people of Maine. I love you, Jim.
I am a sucker for the "I love you, Dad" stuff. I'll do that all day. It tugs the heartstrings. It's a nice look, and I thought that was a dropping off. Oh, here we go. People are filing in out in the debate room. It is filling up. It's getting loud in there and quieter in here. So yeah,
Excellent. Packed house tonight. About 400 people. Would you say roughly?
Yeah, I think there's well, all in all, I think there's actually more.
Yeah, with everyone. Yeah,
I'm fired up.
So am I.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep it moving here with these videos. We got Garrett Mason coming up next here.
You know, my overarching goal in government in general is to make government as inconsequential in your life as I can possibly make it.
The government should be there if you need it, but it shouldn't be something you plan your whole life around.
Republicans are asking if Garrett Mason is ready to govern. I've seen it firsthand.
My governing philosophy will be very simple. Underpromise, overdeliver, tell people the truth.
I served with Garrett in the Maine Senate for 8 years. We elected a majority leader, not once, but twice. And that's because he's incredibly smart and very effective.
Becoming the Senate Majority Leader 2 terms in a row. Garrett is ready on day 1. We don't have time for on-the-job training.
And we have a massive affordability problem in this state. Housing is becoming more and more expensive.
He knows families are being crushed by inflation and high energy costs.
It takes leadership and courage to go against your own caucus. I trust Garrett to stand up for what's right because he's done it time and time again.
I'm 40 years old. Whatever policies I implement over the next 4 years, I will be living under. My family will live under.
He treasures family. He embraces nature. He loves God. His roots run deep here.
It's important for Maine people to have a governor who lives their decisions right alongside of them, who has the experience of government, who knows what it takes to start a business, who knows what it's like to sign the front and the back of a paycheck. And I believe that I'm that person.
Garrett Mason, the consummate communicator.
Yeah.
Been in state politics. He's a young guy. He's kind of a dynamic candidate. Of course, he along with everybody else, except for Bobby Charles, is getting crushed by Bobby Charles.
Yeah. Very young guy, like photogenic guy, has kind of like that stereotypical politician build. And again, I just as doing video editing myself, I appreciate the video quality on stuff like that. So okay, we'll keep it moving here. So this is Robert Wessels. Robert Wessels seems to be the prohibitive leader in the clubhouse going into today, just based on polling and the informal poll we did yesterday. So here's the video that Bobby Charles made for. Okay, technical issues. I don't know.
They all had to get their signatures.
Okay, we're back on here, guys, because for whatever reason the Bobby Charles video didn't go through. I'll see.
Bobby Charles
up right here.
Yeah, we'll have to get Featherston's answer to that.
Doesn't need a politician. Maine needs a fighter. He put criminals behind bars. He's not afraid to say what others won't.
We're in a state right now where illegal aliens are draining us of billions of dollars.
He served this country. He raised a family. He knows what's worth protecting. He's run budgets. He's held government accountable. He will end the corruption and woke nonsense. 20 years fighting for conservative values. A voice for people who are tired of being ignored. The grassroots are fired up. More donors than anyone. More volunteers. More momentum. All across Maine, people are ready. But are you? Bobby is leading, and he's just getting started. Cut crime. Cut taxes. No nonsense. Bobby Charles for Governor of Maine.
Okay,
there we go.
A little impromptu development, it seems here. We're going to do a opening prayer with the Calvary Chapel Baptist Church. I think that was unplanned on the schedule, but it seems like they're all gathering in the green room right now.
Great.
So I'm going to run and try to get someone to take a video of that. I'm going to just kick it right over to the next video, which is David Jones, and we'll go from there.
I started in construction at 17, built a hugely successful company, doing whatever it took. When Augusta tried to shut us down during COVID, we took them to court and fought like.
Some of David Jones's family and friends joke he is Donald Trump. The two men do have a fair amount in common, though David's not a billionaire. He is the owner of a family business and has spent time in commercial and residential real estate. David also thinks the United States needs to make better deals and can't wait to be there in person as the president-elect takes office.
As I'm starting, I'm going to tell you what I am not. I am not a lawyer. I am not a lobbyist. I am not a DC swamp rat. I've been working my entire life to make sure that the people here in the state of Maine get the representation that they're supposed to. We will cooperate 150% with ICE. When you don't support your law enforcement at any level, and then you direct your local PDs to not cooperate, you are endangering the people you are supposed to protect. And if I had my way, I would hold each and every one of you accountable. Can't go into a grocery store and buy everything you want when you want to buy it. You are in economic prison. I don't think anybody in the world with a right mind wouldn't like a Doge to understand that the money that's being spent is being spent in the right way. This should be a rubber stamp. It's not up to you. It says shall. Shall doesn't mean may. It means shall. It means will. And you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to the public to uphold the rule of law. How many people in this room feel like Title IX should be upheld? I'm the kind of governor that
likes Moxie, not Coke. There's some crazy things going on with Janet Mills and the Epstein files. Perhaps you should check it out.
He's just going to make a great governor.
Hey, you just missed it, John Gately. I know you couldn't hear it, but I believe he made I believe David Jones made a joke about the governor of Maine being a fan of cocaine, which is actually something in the rumor mill from 20, 30 years ago. So I hadn't seen that. That is my high point for these videos so far. They've mostly been wholesome, but a vicious attack like that.
That was a good one. That was the line of the videos. David Jones, feisty guy. If we're gonna get like some contentious action tonight, I think it's probably gonna come from him. That's been seems like the trend of the past debates that have happened at Dune Grass.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think there half of this field I think will scrap with each other.
Yeah, totally. All right, we got to keep it moving here. We're going rapid fire because we're running short on time. So let's get Robert.
Fraud and waste. Our next governor needs to limit the size and the scope of the government. And most importantly, our next governor needs to have integrity and the courage to do the right thing, no matter the cost.
I know Robert Wessels personally, and I know that he is a man of honesty.
Robert is running because he sees what is happening to this state, and he refuses to sit back and do nothing. He will fight for the people of Maine.
My name is Robert Wessels, and I am running to be Maine's next governor. I am not a career politician. I don't have a ton of money behind me, but I have the determination to fight and do what is right.
My dad's a businessman, a family man, and he understands what normal Maine families have to go through right now, and I think that's a unique perspective that only he has.
I'm a businessman with an MBA and a degree from the School of Hard Knocks. I've spent the last 2 decades managing retail stores. I am a small government guy who believes the government has overstepped its boundaries. And most importantly, I'm a family man. My wife, Christy, and I have 3 amazing children. I have the determination and experience to make the changes that Maine needs. Maine is in deep trouble, and we need to change its course. I'm Robert Wessels, and I'd be honored to earn your vote for governor.
So that's another one that's maybe more wholesome, on the wholesome side.
Yeah, soft-spoken.
Yeah. Likeable guy. Everyone seems to like him. The question is, does he have that kind of X factor to get across the line and become the governor? And that is the big question mark over his head, in my opinion.
Yeah, there are a lot of big personalities. Jack, you met them, and big, it's fair to say, political egos in there. He does not really have one of those. He is much more soft-spoken, and there's a place for that. If you can do it right, a lot of people, if you haven't noticed, a lot of people with bombastic people in the executive have had enough of that kind of thing. So maybe this is his time. Who's next?
Yep. So we'll move it right along. We got 2 more here. We got Jonathan Bush and Owen McCarthy. So we'll go to Jonathan Bush now, and we'll end it with
I'm Jonathan Bush. Maine is the greatest place on earth to live and raise a family. But for many Mainers, it's gotten too hard to achieve the American dream here. We're paying too much to Augusta and getting too little. Maine needs big change. I've made my career disrupting the status quo, creating jobs and helping people achieve their American dream. That's what I will do as governor. Let's audit state government to root out duplication and waste so it costs less to run, and then let's reduce taxes on working Mainers. Let's invest in our trade schools and give our kids more career opportunities. Let's unleash our economy by getting rid of silly regulations so small businesses can thrive and new ones will come here. And let's let the police enforce our laws, maybe even thank them for doing it. To change things, I'm going to have to break a few eggs along the way.
Yes, he'll definitely do that.
A lot.
And the cancel culture crowd, well, they'll come after me as well.
Oh, I know how that goes.
But I'm not running for them. I'm in this for you, to make your life and your future better. And I will always put Maine first.
Jonathan Bush would be a great governor. He would be a disruptor, and he would get things done.
I think Jonathan will be an inspirational leader, and it's exactly what we need in this state.
He brings out the best in people.
He would be a great governor.
He'd make it possible for people to live the American dream right here in Maine.
He just likes to help people.
Yeah.
I'm Jonathan Bush, and I look forward to earning your vote.
Jonathan Bush for governor.
Okay, Jonathan Bush, high energy is how
High energy in this video and in real life.
Yeah.
He is not like HW. He is over the top. It's fun. It's good.
He's the guy that when he first entered the scene, I thought it was kind of a fake high energy politician trying, and then it's like that's just who he is. Every time you see him, if it's 9 in the morning, he is exactly like that. So we got one more candidate to get here. We're going to close this off with Owen McCarthy.
Growing up in a trailer in Patton, Maine, I had no idea we didn't have much money. But I had a wonderful family and mentors who taught me strong values. Work hard, be kind, help others. I'm Owen McCarthy, the proud son of a third-generation logger and a second-generation legislator. The first in my family to attend college, then business school, and then I founded a company that helps people with neurological illness improve their walking, and now I'm running to be governor. When I look around Maine today, it has become totally unaffordable for working class people, my people. I want to introduce you to some of them.
Taxes are going up, utilities are going up, fuel oil is going up. It's tough times and it's everywhere.
Maine is becoming completely unaffordable and we're struggling to get by. The cost of groceries, the cost of living is out of sight.
Everything's going up but wages. For an example, you used to buy a flat file for $1. They're 5 and 6 now.
For the younger generation, it's almost impossible just with the cost of just groceries in general, but there's rent too.
These are the forgotten people who get up each morning, put in an honest day's work, take care of their families, but have to fight just to make ends meet. It shouldn't be that way. They are why I'm running. I will get the state budget under control and bring tax relief to struggling families. Revitalize our factory towns with innovative new companies that put local people to work in good jobs. Legalize housing by cutting red tape so homes are less expensive, and fix our schools so every kid gets the education we're paying for. It's time for fresh ideas. It's time for change. I hope you'll join me.
Owen's never forgot where he come from or the people that's been around him.
He'll make you proud, just like he's made Patton proud.
Yeah, he just gets stuff done. He's the smartest person I know, hands down.
He'll make a great governor.
All right, everyone. So that's the videos. We got a quick outro here, and then we're going to kick it over to the main event. But I really appreciate everyone tuning in to the postgame show. Tom, your final thoughts?
I am very, very excited. It's high energy, and I'm looking forward to some fireworks tonight.
Jack, your final thoughts?
Let's get ready to rumble. Let's go.
Let's get ready to rumble. All right, main event time coming up.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for taking your seats, and welcome to tonight's debate in Bangor, sponsored by the Maine Policy Institute, Maine Civic Action, and live streamed by the Maine Wire, hosted by Stevie Robinson. Very, very pleased to see you all here. Thank you for coming. I know that I am not the person you are here to listen to tonight, so in the interest of time, and because we have so many people on these podiums behind me, I'll be very brief with my comments, but I of course wanted to not only welcome you here today, but also thank you for participating in your democracy. This is something that's incredibly important that we do. The gubernatorial race this year is, and it sounds a little cliche to say so, but perhaps the most important one you may be participating in at least your recent life, if not your lifetime. Maine is at an impasse and there are problems with cost of living, energy, healthcare, taxes and spending, corruption. It's everywhere and it needs to be fixed. Tonight, you will be hearing from 8 candidates who are seeking to be your next governor. And the Maine Policy Institute decided to sponsor this event so that you could be better informed about who these people are and what they believe. Before I get out of here, I do need to tell you, of course, that we are a 501c3 organization, so we do not take campaigns and candidates and do endorsements. We are here to educate the public about the issues and the things that they care about, and you get to make your own decisions without me telling you what those things are. Maine Civic Action is a sister organization of ours, and it is devoted to grassroots politics and trying to actually put into action a lot of the things that we all care about here today. And of course, the Maine Wire, who is live streaming in this event and hosting today, is the preeminent media organization in this state, and you all know it. Back in actually 2011 that the Maine Wire was founded, and it was on a very simple principle that the news in Maine was failing you, and that there needed to be something that was going to do the deep investigative journalism that was being undone right now, and was going to cover things from a perspective that you simply did not hear anymore. We're very proud to report that that obviously is a mission that I think we are well on the way of accomplishing, and it's part of the entire mix of what we at the Maine Policy Institute family believe will make a major change in the policy direction of this state. And that's ultimately what we're about. So without further ado, you don't need to hear much more from me. You'll hear from Steve and the candidates here in just one moment, but I do want to pass the mic off to my friend Rick Tyler, who will be here in a tuxedo, no less. And Rick will be doing the formal introduction of the candidates. So welcome, Rick, and welcome to the candidates. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor, Maine, and the main event. Let's get ready. I'm not allowed to say that next line. That's copywritten. I'm sorry. Let's get ready to debate. Here are your candidates. From Lewiston, Maine, former state Senate Majority Leader and current public affairs and lobbying pro, Garrett Mason. Garrett Mason. From Standish, Maine, current state senator, Thomas College president, business professor, I should say, and PhD economist, Dr. James Libby. From Patton, Maine, son of a third-generation logger, Harvard MBA, Gulf War era Army veteran, and co-founder of the Maine-based neuroscience innovator, MedRhythms, Owen McCarthy. From Paris, Maine, retail manager, small businessman with an MBA and a seat on the town select board, Robert Wessels. From Wayne, Maine, former Reagan White House staffer, Assistant Secretary of State, and Naval Intelligence Officer, Bobby Charles. From South Portland, Maine, Army combat medic, Harvard MBA, and co-founder of Athena Health, the multi-billion-dollar health tech powerhouse, Jonathan Bush. From Kennebunkport, Maine, founding partner and former CEO of Crunch Fitness, an international business he grew to more than $1 billion in annual revenue, Ben Midgley. And from Falmouth, Maine, real estate developer and owner of FO, co-founder of Make America Great Again PAC and 2024 RNC delegate, David Jones. And now, your moderator for tonight's debate, the uncredited blogger from Dexter, Maine, who once earned a George Mitchell scholarship. From the Maine Wire, editor-in-chief, Steve Robinson.
Welcome to the Maine Republican gubernatorial debate. Thank you to our debate hosts this evening, the Maine Policy Institute and Maine Civic Action. Thank you to the Maine Wire team for offering comprehensive live stream coverage of tonight's debate. I'm your moderator, Steve Robinson. Candidates, we've explained the rules to you in advance, but for the benefit of those watching here at the Cross Center and at home, all candidates will have 90 seconds to offer responses to questions. The time will be displayed on this clock, and the limits will be enforced by this bell. Candidates will have 30 to 60 seconds to respond if they are attacked by another candidate at my discretion. We will end with closing statements of 2 minutes. The order of responses and positions on the stage has been determined by a random drawing that we did later. The men on the stage were not given the questions in advance of this debate. Candidates, we will now begin with a question directed specifically at one candidate, and only that candidate will respond. But before we do any of that, we're going to have the national anthem.
Yeah. All right.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Thank you very much for Brian Netto, our trumpist, and Rick Tyler for introducing the candidates. This is why we have teams doing this. We begin, as I said, with questions for each candidate, and only that candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. Robert Wessels, we begin with you. Robert, I don't know anyone who doesn't like you, except for maybe a couple of these guys on the stage. But you've refused to raise money, and you've said that you don't think that you need that to win a gubernatorial election. My question is, if Republicans choose to nominate you, a candidate who doesn't have the resources to win a modern election and doesn't think that he needs to, won't we just be handing the election to the Democratic candidate, a well-funded Democratic machine? And if you don't have the resources to win in a general election, is your heart really in it?
So absolutely not. We would not be handing the election over to the Democratic machine because I believe that we as Republicans will pull together and we will all unite behind myself as a primary candidate. And I would say that my results so far have spoken for themselves, as I am right there in the thick of things with those who have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. I, for one, have spent, everybody can see this, it's public, I've spent $24,000, and I'm polling right in the middle with everybody who has raised hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And so I believe that Maine needs a governor that is highly effective with a less amount of money. And I am proving myself, I'm proving that I can do that effectively. We were the first one on the ballot by far with a 100% volunteer team. So I believe that I am the candidate of choice and that I absolutely can win this primary and that we as a Republican Party can win the general election with me there.
Thank you, Robert. Libby. The candidates on the stage, you're the only one who has opted to take taxpayer money to support your campaign through the Maine Clean Elections Act.
How can you advocate for fiscal conservatism when taxpayers are funding your campaign? And would you pledge to repeal taxpayer-funded political campaigns as governor?
Well, thank you for the question. I appreciate it, and thanks to the audience for coming. I'm looking at the audience. I'm actually not usually pointing at people, but I kind of want to make this gesture right here because I'm going to be reporting to you. And if you don't think that special interest money has damaged the way that government operates and has damaged your life as a result, I would like to and be happy to invite you to come up to the legislature and watch the process roll out. The problems that we have aren't always created by government influence, but does anybody here think that the lobbyists are actually sitting in the Senate chamber where I work for no reason at all? They're there to influence the process. It's called rent seeking, right? And rent seeking is just, we're trying to set things up so that the law really favors us. That's the way it's been going for a long time, and people in Maine have told me that they're sick of it. The only 2 times that I've worked on with clean elections is the first time I ran for governor in 2002, and now. I've never run as a clean elections candidate, always a traditional candidate as a legislator, and I've been a senator 4 times, and I've been a representative twice. Why is that? Well, if you're in the legislature and you're legislative leadership, you can raise money through PACs while everybody else, rank and file, is raising money through clean elections. And I would say, no, I don't want that.
Thank you. That was good. Ben Midgley, you have never held elected office, never served on a town board, never run a government agency. You describe the governorship as an executive role, but a governor can't fire the legislature, even if Governor LePage tried once. You can't fire judges. You can't restructure departments the way a CEO restructures a company. What specifically have you done that prepares you to work with or against a Democrat-controlled legislature or a Republican-controlled legislature that has no obligation to do what you say?
Okay, first let me just say that not having political experience is fairly common. 20% of all governors elected historically have no political experience. Ronald Reagan, for example, never had experience before he was elected governor. Donald Trump, no political experience, but I do have significant executive experience. And one of the things I've focused on in my entire career that's made me really one of the most successful operators in the industry that I work in is my ability to work with people, listen to people. Sometimes you have to get there through compromise, which obviously is not the approach we're going to take initially because there are so many things wrong the Democrats have put in place. Sometimes you have to get there just by showing the authenticity and that you're going to listen to people. Sometimes you have to be consistent enough to hear the ideas from the other side, even though you don't take them, but to get people to come over to your side because they show your intentions are true. Negotiation-wise, I've worked with large private financial institutions for the majority of my career. Tremendous amount of work, I'd say, with high-level lawyers, with unscrupulous characters in the corporate world that I've had to deal with before. But in any case, it can be very effective in getting us from point A to point B. Also, when you're from outside of the political world, you don't really look so much at the process as you look at the problem, and you go to fix the problem. If you can't get it this way, you're going to go this way. If you can't get it this way, you're going to go that way. My time's up, so I'll leave it at that.
David Jones, you ran for governor once before. You ended up dropping out. Your most recent political experience has been running PACs for President Donald Trump and some talk radio with my friend Ray Richardson. Why should Republican voters trust that your campaign is anything more than a fun project run by a baby boomer who got bored?
Say that again.
Why should Republican voters trust that your campaign is anything more than a wealthy baby boomer who got bored?
Well, that's great. If I knew a wealthy baby boomer that was on my campaign, I could answer that. You know, I'm a guy that started from scratch. I'm the guy that, you know, when I got out of high school, started my own company. I was 17 years old. I've never applied for a job. This is my first job interview. I ran a company. It was a great company. I took it from me and a couple of guys to 1,100 people. I know what it's like to get things done, sign the front of the check. And my campaign is ran. I've got the most diverse group of people surrounding me. It's amazing the folks that we have. And, I look at this and I say, I'm really proud that I have the people with me that I have, because we know Maine. I've been involved in Maine politics for over 30 years. I've been listening my ear to the ground. 20 years I've been doing a radio show. I've interviewed presidents, I've been vice presidents, senators, congressmen. I've been with President Trump. I was chosen by President Trump to be on the Republican National Platform Committee. This isn't my first go-around, but I am a true conservative. I am the only Trump guy in the race. And make no mistake about it, I've been with him since day one. The PAC that I started was called Making Maine Great Again. Fantastic PAC. We came 22,000 votes away from turning the state of Maine red. That's a record I'll hang my hat on. We can do this. We can do it again. The only way we're going to do it is work together. But believe me, you elect David Jones as your next governor, you got what you've been looking for. Thank you.
Owen McCarthy, everybody I've talked to really likes you, but everybody has some version of the same opinion. You'd make a great state senator. Maybe you'd be a great commissioner for the Department of Economic Development. You're too nice for the blood sport that is politics. So the question is, are you ready for prime time? Are you ready for a general election fight? Or would Republicans be nominating a punching bag for the Democratic machine?
Well, first of all, who's ready to win in 2026? If you look up Owen online and what it means warrior. And while I might seem nice and I might seem kind, I have fought for everything that I've ever gotten. I grew up in a trailer in Patton, Maine, the son of a third-generation logger. I built my own way. I went to college on the pulp and paper scholarship as the first in my family to do that. I went on to become an entrepreneur in medical devices, which if you think if that's not a blood sport, there's 7 different types of lawyers you have to hire to get through the Medicare code and the FDA process. I have done all of that while keeping a good attitude, but I always take the hill. And that's what I would do as the governor. And that's what we need to do in 2026 to win this election and to change this state around. I'm also the guy with a plan. I have Maine 2040. It's got 130 policies, 72 pages, because when we win, we need to go fast. And in it, we are betting on opportunity, affordability, and discipline in how we run our government. It creates 50,000 foundational jobs. And I think, for me, that is what primetime looks like, and I'm ready to rock, Steve.
Thank you very much. Bobby Charles, you grew up in Maine, but you've spent most of your life working and living in Washington, D.C., at the White House, on Capitol Hill for the State Department. You continue to run a D.C.-based consulting firm, and your critics have labeled you a carpetbagger from away. When did you begin living full-time in Maine? Will you return to D.C. if you lose the primary or general elections? And how do you respond to critics who say that you're just a D.C. insider?
Well, thank you, Steve. I grew up in this state, and I would argue that the values that you get that matter most are the ones that you are grown up with. And I was grown up by a school teacher in a town of 500. I was working full-time at 12. I was building houses with World War II vets at 17, another big influence. And then I went away to serve my country, and I served for 10 years in naval intelligence. I was invited to serve in the Reagan White House. I would never trade those years for anything. I love this state, and I'm back. I've been in this state just about every year of my life, unless I was in Iraq or Afghanistan or for some other reason not here. But the reality is I am totally dedicated to this state. And I voted for Ronald Reagan in 80 and in 84 here, and then I came back here finally after I bought my house in 05. Bottom line is I am all about the idea that you go where you're needed. I came back here, I never expected to run for governor, never thought of it. And at the end of the day, I looked around and I thought, oh my God, the state I came back to is not the state that I left. And I realized I've got the tools. I've managed billions of dollars. I have been a crime fighter all my life. And I fought fraud as a federal investigator and litigator. And what does this state need? It needs someone who will fight fraud, as you well know. It needs counter narcotics, and it needs a manager. And I've done that.
Jonathan Bush, In 2016, you donated to Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson. In 2023, you donated to Nikki Haley. Both of those donations can be seen as a rebuke to President Donald Trump, who you've been outspoken towards at times. Where do you stand now on President Trump, and do you think that the Maine Republican Party should be represented by someone who isn't fully aligned with the commander-in-chief who earned 77.3 million votes in 2024?
I've had a couple of choice things to say about Donald Trump, and I don't think anybody in this room hasn't sat in front of their TV and say, what did he just say? But the fact is, Donald Trump was right on protecting our borders. Donald Trump was right on protecting fairness and getting the woke out of our schools and our law enforcement infrastructure. And I stand converted on those things. I think the next person who's going to win in Maine has to be careful not to be overly attached to Donald Trump, because that will cost us the general election. And so the fact that I'm a convert on the policies that have made Donald Trump effective and still have chosen other Republicans in other primaries over the years, I think it's the perfect combination to win this general election.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Garrett Mason, you have pitched yourself as the Augusta insider that Maine Republicans need to reverse 8 years of progressive policies implemented under Governor Janet Mills. You've developed that insider knowledge in part as a state house lobbyist. Are there any policies you promoted as a lobbyist that you would not support as governor? And can you guarantee the people here tonight that former clients of your public affairs business won't receive preferable treatment from a Governor Mason?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks, Steve, for having us here tonight. And I want to say thank you to the Maine Policy Institute for hosting this event. You know, as somebody who did run for governor before and can tell you that we usually had these type of debates in high school gyms and various other places like that. And so this is definitely an upgrade. So very well done. You know, I did serve 8 years in the state legislature, and I also served, I've worked the past 8 years with my own public relations firm. And we have clients like the Maine Farm Bureau, where we advocate for lower healthcare costs through things like Farm Bureau health plans. We also do things like advocate for Associated Builders and Contractors, another client of ours, where we fight against right-to-work things. So when you're elected governor, the person that you're lobbying for is for the state of Maine, and I've always taken that responsibility very seriously, whether that be as a state senator or a county commissioner. I've always advocated for the Maine taxpayer, and I'll continue to do that as governor.
Thank you, Garrett. Now we'll move on to more general questions for all of the candidates, and we'll swing back the other way. So coming right back to you, Garrett. The first question is from an informal poll that we conducted yesterday of Robinson Report subscribers. The number one subject our readers wanted discussed at this debate by far was corruption. From no-bid contracts and Medicaid fraud to green energy boondoggles, Mainers have watched their taxes go up while NGOs, special interests, and Democrat cronies get rich. As governor, what specific steps would you take in your first year to root out fraud and corruption in state government? And what will you do to make state government more transparent?
Well, there is absolutely no question that fraud and corruption is out of control in Augusta, and it's largely due to the things that you just said. No bid contracts, wild social welfare programs that are being abused every single day. You know, when I was first elected in 2010, one of the things that was going on at that time was EBT fraud. We were finding out that people were selling their EBT cards at pawn shops, and that there was just the fraud and waste and abuse in that program specifically was out of control. And so what did we do? When we got into office, we addressed those issues. We put a 60-month cap on benefits for an entire family. We tightened eligibility requirements for people on these programs. We put pictures on EBT cards to make sure that you couldn't sell them in pawn shops. But the fact of the matter is, fraud will always find a way. And you have to be ever vigilant about rooting out fraud, corruption, waste, abuse in the system. The fraud, the EBT card abuse of yesterday, today has now morphed into daycare centers and home hospice centers and medical device companies, all of the things that you have done such a great job uncovering. So what do we have to do? We have to have a governor who can go in right away and do what we did in 2011, adapt to the situation where we're at, unveil the corruption and make sure that it doesn't happen again, and keep going, because you cannot stop. Fraud will always find a way.
Thank you, Garrett. Jonathan Bush. What would Governor Bush do to crack down on fraud and corruption in Augusta?
Oh boy, glad you asked. First of all, thank you for your unrelenting attention to surface this kind of stuff. You guys have done a phenomenal job. And fraudsters like our current system, but our current system loves wasters. And this system's problem, for every dollar we've found that we will find in fraud, there's $10 in waste, because our healthcare infrastructure gets run like the Soviet Union. You get a contract with the commissars in Augusta, you can do bad home delivery care, bad transportation care, bad autism care for a decade and never get cut off. There's no authority to fire people who aren't effective, even if they're not breaking the law. It's legal to stink. That's incredible. The solution is not to go and audit and do whack-a-mole with each one. Of course, we enforce our laws. Fellows, thanks for coming tonight. We should free you up to enforce our laws better than we have. Sorry about that. But the thing to do is a bold restructuring of the way we do this. Get Augusta out of the healthcare delivery business. Get Augusta out of the Medicaid delivery business. Prune it back like an invasive species, like the knotweed that it is. Delegate responsibility to our doctors and our clinics. Let them adjudicate what ride services are needed, what extra help, home visit, groceries. Maybe Uber's good enough, or a local taxi. That's the change that we need.
Bobby Charles, the same question to you.
So, as a former federal investigator and litigator, first of all, I think fraud and transparency are two sides of the same coin. I would open the books up immediately, and then I would impose zero-based budgeting here to get clarity on, frankly, fiscal responsibility. I would impose performance metrics. I would initiate an immediate statewide hiring freeze to stop the runaway hiring. I would shrink DHHS and education, restructuring them. I would put an IG in every single department. I would hire 60 new investigators. I would put an master teacher at education, not an administrator. I would create a clawback office in which you could drag that money back, including out of the Lewiston shooting fund, where they gave $2 million to 29 different nonprofits that were all their own people. I would put a conservative at the top of financial and management services. I would also put one at the top of the Bureau of Budget and at the top of public safety. I would require able-bodied Mainers to go work if they're between 18 and 65. I would get all the illegal aliens out of this state. I would use the line item veto as a governor, with or without the legislature, and I pray we get it, to knock it down. I would stop runaway sole source contracts, and I would investigate the living daylights out of Mills, Fry, Bellows, and Pingree.
Owen McCarthy, the steps you would take to crack down on corruption and fraud in Augusta.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. It reminds me, I have an Uncle Thump, and Uncle Thump always used to say, if you ever see a rotting log, you got to check the whole pile. And so we need to audit absolutely everything, because that log is very rotted, and I'm sure it's spread through it all over. In my plan, that's the main performance review. So we're going to do that. 2 is, I don't know why people haven't been prosecuted and people haven't gone to jail for the fraud that's happened. And that needs to happen. If there's no consequences in our society, anyone is going to step up. Many people are going to step up and go there. 3 is, we're going to equip the people that work at the state with the same tools that the Maine Wire uses. These guys over here have a couple of people that use AI tools to go drill into thousands and thousands and millions of documents and unearth things every single day. We have those tools, and we can also use those tools, and we have more data. But we're also going to make sure, and this will save for your budget, Steve, we're going to take and put everything, the budget, online, transparent, in real time, so you guys can see where your hard-earned taxpayer dollars are being spent.
So, David Jones, how would you crack down on corruption and fraud?
Are you done?
I'm good. Okay.
With an applause line that good, you got to.
Yeah, I'm going to stop. Yeah. Steve's protecting me from myself.
Well done, Owen. David Jones.
All right. Well, look, unlike anybody else up here on this stage, I've spent many a night in front of town councils raising these issues. I've worked with Amy Sussman. I've sat down with her. I sat down with the U.S. Attorney, Andrew Benson, and discussed this problem. You know, the idea that $1.9 million of the shooting fund has gone to 29 different NGOs is absolutely absurd. I've talked to the shooting victims, as have you. I mean, it's a shame what's happened. There's people who are still hurting today, people who still have to get surgeries done. They've lost control of their arms. I'm telling you, it's pathetic. Now, I got drawn into this because of the Ayman Osman problem. They elected a guy who got picked up by ICE yesterday, and thank God he's out of here. No, we brought that to light. I was there, and as was the main wire, and we talked with several of the people there. And I'll tell you, this is a horrible situation. We have to get down to brass tacks. These people need to be prosecuted. The idea that law enforcement is told to stand down, it's sickening. It can't go on any longer. I promise you, on day one, I will give law enforcement the green light to make sure that the main Constitution and the rule of law is enforced in as grand a way as possible. The Chinese grows have to stop. We've got a problem here in Maine, and we don't address it. No one ever is prosecuted for these crimes.
Thank you, David. I won't be doing any Candy Crowley style fact checks tonight, but Ayman Osman wasn't picked up by ICE. You'll learn about that later this week at the main wire. It's a lot worse.
Teaser. No.
Ben Midgley, what would you do to tackle corruption and fraud in Augusta?
Okay, so I'm going to give a couple broad answers, then a specific answer on how you stop the money from getting out the door. So fraud management in the corporate world is standard operating procedure, but you can also, as governor, stop bad legislation that's coming through and use executive orders to, stymie up things that need to be stopped. From a process standpoint, if you look at the amount of money going out of DHHS, which is a $4.3 billion department, okay, that's the majority of your tax money. All you have to do within that is, one, for any money that's going out the door, you create exception reports. So anything that doesn't have the proper paperwork, the proper payment boundaries, or the documentation that's required, an exception is generated, goes onto a report. Then you have multi-level alerts. So that exception report goes right up to the commissioner of DAFs, above the manager of that department, so they can't stop everyone from seeing it, all the way to the governor's desk, and you can manage the trend on exceptions through that process. Then you don't allow any payments until all those exceptions are cleared. If there is exceptions that have made it through and they're getting paid, you send the fraud department on it, because you might have a small percentage of that. We got 24 people in the department. You can increase that number. And then when you prosecute, you got to make sure you can't get held up on appeal for 3 years, which is one of the issues we have right now, because these cases can run on and on and on. So you got to get that stopped. You got to have audits for current payments and past payments on a regular basis. At the national level, they do this. You have incentives for whistleblowers in the state government for calling out fraudsters, get a culture of accountability going, and then put transparency out there to the people in Maine. Tell them what you're doing, show them what you're capturing, and then fraud becomes no more.
Jim Libby, corruption and fraud in Augusta.
There's so much corruption and fraud in Augusta and in government that I should be given double the time, because I'm working with it right now, and it drives me nuts. Here's the problem that we have. We have a state auditor that wasn't actually an auditing professional, but the state auditor is a decent person, and he came out with an audit, and we found out where some of the irregularities were. Now, if you were in another state, you'd have had an attorney general go right after that. Did our attorney general go after that? No. Why? Because the attorney general in Maine is chosen in a back room by legislative leadership and by the majority party. We're the only state that does it that way. So we need, if we can't change that, I'm going to ask for a constitutional amendment, but if we can't, thank you, a constitutional amendment, we have to ask for it. But if we can't change that immediately, we're going to set up a very much larger operation that is a government oversight committee. We have a member right here today who's a senator in this audience, and he is a member of the government oversight committee. And the Democrats, not to complain about the left, but they have made that oversight committee meek. They can't get the information they need. They can't go after it. What else are we doing? Well, can you imagine this? We're leaving thousands of positions unfilled, and then we're reaching in there and spending the money on something that's unauthorized. These are the kinds of things that we're doing. We've got to stop it. Yes, I love the sound.
Robert Wessels, you know the question.
Absolutely. So number one, I will bring the want to, right? You cannot convince me at all that Janet Mills has not had the chance to go after the illegal marijuana grows. That how many years has it been, Steve? Right? The reality is she has no desire to go after the illegal marijuana grows. And so that's because of the corruption. So on day one, we're absolutely going after those grows. Number two, also on day one, we're going to set up a DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. I know, Elon Musk took my name, but I said that from the beginning when I started campaigning 2.5 years ago. We need a group of constitutionally minded business people who get together. It's a temporary, I hate bureaucracy, so this is only for a few years, and then we can disband it. But they have to go after the regulations that are killing us. They have to go after the fraud and find that so we can go after it. So this group will find that fraud and will go after it. Also, I think that we need to make it really hard for our government to fund nonprofits. And so that needs to be a senior management level in my administration.
Pretty good.
So you have to be a senior management to be able to make a decision to fund a nonprofit. And lastly, and most importantly, as I've had hundreds of conversations, we have to change the culture within our state government. There's a culture of retaliation. There's not any openness. And on day one, they will need to sign an agreement, a commitment to be open and be honest.
Thank you, Robert. Whether it's drug trafficking organizations selling fentanyl, Chinese cartels growing illicit cannabis, Medicaid fraud rings, or scammers targeting our elderly, Maine is under assault by sophisticated organized crime networks, almost all of them with ties to transnational organized crime. What will you do as governor to protect Mainers from organized crime? And why are you the best candidate to stop criminal groups from taking advantage of Mainers? And also, what role do you think the sheriffs play in fighting organized crime in this state? I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that there's half a dozen of them from across the state here tonight, so you're under a microscope. We'll go in a random order here. Jonathan, you're first.
Oh, great. Okay, guys, ready? We need to enforce our laws. Not pick and choose based on the righteous and the social justice and the environmental and the homeless consideration. Nope. Enforce all the laws we have all the time with everyone relentlessly. That means, bring it. That means we get a common record management system that sheriffs can subscribe to so guys don't spend their entire shift processing an arrest. We get rid of the excuses for the jails to accept people, get rid of the $60 problem where everybody, no matter how many arrests, ends up getting streeted right after the fact. Get rid of the medical center excuse, get nurses so that we can actually get people the 3 hots in a cot that they deserve and need to maybe get a restart going. Now, I've built infrastructure at a large scale. We have a $4 billion healthcare system in this state. Athena managed $30 billion of collections across 116,000 doctors, and we knew where every penny was at every moment. Our law enforcement community deserves that at the micro level so that we can roll up and be able to handle these more sophisticated things that grow up in an environment where our law enforcement are tied at the hands, both culturally, where we don't respect them, and infrastructure-wise, where we don't give them the information they need. I've done it, and I don't think you can do it with experience as a lobbyist. I think you have to actually be a CEO to do that.
Bobby Charles, your plan to protect Mainers from organized crime.
So this time, Steve, I really mean thank you. I have done this for 30 years. I have fought organized crime. For 10 years as a Navy intelligence officer, going after counter-narcotics, counterterrorism, and these TCOs, we call them, all over the United States. As the Assistant Secretary of State, I helped bring down the Cali cartel. I helped bring down major traffickers. I trained law enforcement. I actually set up all the police training in Iraq and in Afghanistan and in Kosovo, and frankly brought down a lot of the traffickers in Colombia, Bolivia, Peru, and Mexico. We're at a moment of enormous peril in the state of Maine right now because we have all the worst trafficking groups here. It's not just the Chinese triads, and God bless you for outing them, but we have the Dominican Trinitarios here. We have the Sinaloa cartel here. We have the Crips. We have the Bloods, we have the gangster disciples, we have the Latin Kings. I have spent my life fighting this fight, and very effectively, by the way. In fact, part of my company's business was to do all of the strategic planning around the United States for all counter-narcotics for the National Guard and develop the algorithms to find them. The bottom line is we need to do three things, really simple, three things. Authorize law enforcement to do what they have the power to do. Number two, fund them properly. And number three, stop this sanctuary state insanity so that state, local, and feds can work together.
Jim Libby, what will you do to protect Mainers from organized crime?
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting here reflecting on it, and I had to think to myself, that's going to be a pretty hard question when it's government that's organizing the crime. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, there's not only that no bid contracts, but there's bid rigging. I could talk about that forever, and you need to learn about that. Thank you very much. Did you know, for example, that in the last session that I served, we tripled the amount of cocaine that you can have on your kitchen table without getting a serious crime? That's the kind of leadership that we have now. We have to stop that from happening. We're decriminalizing drug use. And on top of that, we're normalizing it. We've got, on every street corner in my district, it seems like somebody is selling cannabis. Am I right? We don't need to run it like that. First of all, think about that. If you're going to have something on every street corner, the price is going to go down. They're going to go bankrupt. Well, that's not such a bad thing, I guess. But that's poorly run government right there. So I've worked with Sheriff Lancaster, and let me tell you something about that man. He is working for you, and he's out there busting up these illegal Chinese grows. So the first thing I'm going to say to you is right now, before my bell rings, no Chinese national is going to be able to buy any property in this state if I'm governor.
David Jones, your plan to confront organized crime in Maine.
Well, why don't we start by hiring an attorney general that's going to do his job? How disgusting is it that this man stands there and refuses to prosecute? You know, when Garrett was in office back with Paul LePage, Gateway was an issue. It never got solved. Janet Mills refused to help. She refused to let Paul LePage hire attorneys to prosecute these people. This crime has been going on for a very long time. So we got to let law enforcement, and I'm a big advocate of the Sheriff's Department. Barry DeLong was a very close friend of mine. He filled me in on all the ills and problems that the Sheriff's Departments run into, especially with funding. We have, your clock stopped. We have to fix this. We have to make sure that the county sheriffs are funded and that everything that they're supposed to do, they're allowed to do. Law enforcement needs to be given a green light. And if we don't do it now, when is it going to do it? I'm not a fearmonger. I'm not a race baiter. I'm not a guy who wants to get everybody in this room scared. But I will tell you, we have a problem. And unless law enforcement can do their job, and they absolutely want to do their job, I know it. I've been to 8 of the correction centers in Maine. Then we will always, it'll only get worse. Thank you.
Garrett Mason, your plan to confront organized crime in Maine.
So do I get 2 minutes? David said my name. I'd like to
We had a
clear things
malfunction
up.
with the timer.
Okay.
I feel like you need the advantage. Go ahead.
I guess one of the things, yeah, thank you. I guess one of the things that I'd like to say is like that was absolutely the case, and this is where somebody with government experience comes into play. Right now in the state of Maine, we have a Democrat Attorney General, and of the 8 prosecutorial districts, we have 7 Democrats and 1 Republican, and it happens to be Neil McLean, who is the district attorney in my county. We have 1 person that is going to willfully prosecute these people. So the first thing we have to do in order to do things like that is we have to make sure that we actually have prosecutors who are elected by the people, who are Republicans, who will actually go after this. That's why we have to elect a legislature, by the way. Incredibly important. But on to the basis of your question, when I was in the legislature, one of my first committee assignments was a Criminal Justice and Public Safety Committee. And while I was on that committee, I got the opportunity to work with people like Bill Diamond and others where we've confronted things like this. We have incredible tools at our disposal. But the first thing we have to do is we have to make sure that our law enforcement understands that we have their back. Right now, we have 350 positions statewide that are unfilled in law enforcement. And the reason for that is because they don't feel like they're going to be protected if something goes wrong. We have to make sure we're standing up for law enforcement. That is very important. The other thing that we have to be able to do is we have to shut off the funding for these Chinese criminal cartels. And that means going after the banks that are funding their mortgages for their Chinese grow houses. That is incredibly important as well. But we have to make sure that law enforcement knows we have their back. We have to give them the materials that they need. And we also have to make sure that jails are able to house these people when it comes time. The Mills administration has not funded county jails for many, many years, and people are getting let out on bail, no bail, back into the streets. It's very important that we fund our jails to house these criminals.
Thank you, Gary. And Midgley, your plan to confront organized crime in Maine.
Okay, so Maine is still in the top 10 of drug overdoses and drug deaths nationally. It's a number that, or a list that you should not be on. Sonia and I both lost our nephew to a drug overdose, like I'm sure many of you have, or people that you know, and that should not be happening. That's basically policy driven in the state is why that's happening. It's being allowed to happen. So day one executive order on my desk, end Maine sanctuary city policies, that has to happen. Allow cooperation with all federal authorities. State needs to back law enforcement 100%. In regard to the sheriff's department, these are elected officials. They need a voice at the table in regards to all policies, all funding, and then you have better integration with state police, local police, but there has to be more voice in there from our sheriff's department. No more garbage legislation. That's going to create more soft on crime policies. You got to stop that. You have to, of course, eliminate Chinese marijuana. Everyone I talked to in law enforcement said that could be stopped almost immediately, given the right support. And those drug gangs that were mentioned, those are the worst in the world. They bring the majority of all drugs into the country, and they shouldn't be in Maine. When I was growing up, you didn't have that. That has been allowed. Back when COVID started, Janet Mills gave the stand down to the Maine Drug Enforcement Agency, and of course, A.G. Fry is not prosecuting anywhere near what he should be prosecuting from that standpoint. You've got to change out the Supreme Court judges. You've got almost all those judges coming up in the next term. So you got to get that done. You can change judges out down the line so we start getting people that are actually charging. Most of the DAs, except for the one that was mentioned, all... Okay, thank you.
Owen McCarthy, your plan to tackle organized crime in Maine.
Well, we got to look at supply and demand. And on the supply side, how about we cooperate with the federal government to make sure we're working together to tackle this problem? How about we lobby the Trump administration to be a high-intensity drug trafficking area expanded throughout additional regions of the state of Maine? We should. How about we fund their justice system at the same level as our neighbors? If you look at the data in New Hampshire, they've doubled or tripled their funding for law enforcement, while we've stayed largely flat. If you look at the budget, that is unacceptable in the last 5 or 6 years, and we need to do that. We need to invest in police recruitment and retention, and then we need to make sure as we arrest people, we have public defenders, and we fix the public defender's office, and we need to eliminate cashless bail so it's not a carousel where people are coming in and out. On the demand side, you know, I had a friend, best friend from high school, that got into drugs right after high school and was addicted most of his adult life. The normal path that the current administration would send this person down would be to hand them out more needles. But instead, This man is now recovered because he went into the Arise faith-based recovery program. And we need to stop handing out needles and getting more people into programs like that if we want to save them.
Robert Wessels, organized crime. Go.
First off, I want to say thank you to the gentleman in the front row. Thank you for fighting for us. And the reality is your hands have been tied by the legislature, by this administration, and you continue to fight. You continue to do that. And my hat's off to you. I had the honor and joy of riding with the Lewiston Police for a ride day. And it was great to see it from the front row, to see what they see every single day, to see how they're doing their job. They are fighting. They're trying to keep our streets safe. And then 2 days later, the people are out, right? So our regulations, we have to deregulate. We have some pretty absolutely stupid laws on the books that are making it easier and easier for people to do illegal things and not get in trouble for it. We need law and order, we need accountability, and we need it consistently across the board. We need to stop the sanctuary state. We've seen this increase in this rise in crime correlates extremely well with the rise in illegal immigrants. And we have to hold them accountable. We need to invite and encourage and make our federal government come in and handle that. And my administration will. We have to hold our judiciary accountable. Again, we have openings that are going to be coming in the next 8 years, and we need to do that. But we have to make the right decisions and hold them accountable.
Thank you, Robert. One more question, and then a brief intermission. The topic of this question is education. Over the last 8 years, Maine's public schools have seen student test scores drop sharply. At the same time, the schools have stridently embraced gender ideology, critical race theory, and other progressive fads. How would you change state education policy to improve student outcomes? And what realistically can a governor do, given that many of the pernicious ideologies afflicting Maine schools are driven by local activists? Ben Midgley, we start with you.
Okay, so if you really want to look at it, the school system is a $4 billion Department of Education. It's the second largest budget item in the state. So the majority of all state spending actually is just between DHHS and the Department of Education. That's 80% of your budget right there. So you've got this huge bureaucracy. If you've got to change the bureaucracy, you have to look at how it was built. So obviously you're going to change the Commissioner of Education when you come in. That's a must. Thank you. The State Board of Education has to be completely reworked. So we're getting the right information down, or you could dissolve it if you had to, but that'd be a larger topic of conversation. And then there's something called the Maine School Management Association that works with our Maine Superintendents Association and the Maine School Board Association, and they work with Drummond Wilson. And that's where they get that's where they get a lot of the worst advice. So you've got to go in there and put a wedge between the Maine School Management Association and our schools. A couple other things you can do is you can start to conditionalize the money. You've got a 55% revenue share of your tax dollars going to the schools, which, by the way, was supposed to lower your property taxes by 15%, and that didn't happen. And then you've got to have a day one executive order from an education standpoint to get back to basics. I'm definitely going to sign that. You've got to support vocational and trade schools more. I know it's a little off the subject, but we got to make sure we get people into those trades. You've got to get ideology out of the schools one way or another. And there shouldn't be any politics in schools. Bottom line, kids need to read and write so they can get a better education and stay in Maine.
Garrett Mason, to you.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm most proud of during my legislative tenure is I was able to champion and pass the only piece of school choice legislation that has been passed in the past 50 years in Maine. That was the Maine Charter School Bill. And I'm proud that there are 9 fully functioning public charter schools in Maine. I believe in school choice. I think it's a big piece of the problem. And I think we need more of it. That being said, there's going to be a lot of talk, I'm sure, about reforming the Department of Education, and that's very important. We need a new commissioner who understands that everything that's being pushed into our schools is being pushed from the top. It's easy to get rid of the woke websites on the DOE. It's easy to get rid of all of the pushed curriculum that they're doing. Our founders were very intelligent. They designed a system here in Maine to make sure that school control was local. Our local school boards have an incredible amount of power at their discretion. The problem is that for the past 50 years, Democrats have said that they don't have any power and they have to rubber stamp whatever the administrator does and says that they have to do. That is not true. And it's organizations like Maine Policy Institute who have developed things like the Maine Education Initiative that is teaching school boards their power. They're saying no to Janet Mills' interpretation of Title IX. They're saying no to woke curriculum in school. And this organization is teaching them how to do it. And when I'm governor, we will make sure that we have an office of the school board liaison to teach schools how to do this.
Owen McCarthy, how would you improve student outcomes?
So if you read my plan, Maine 2040, the chart right here shows spending going like this and results going like this. Isn't that a strategy problem, everybody? What I want to be known for as governor for my first term for education is I want to be the reading governor. 1 in 4 fourth graders in this state can read at grade level right now. 1 in 4, which is, and if you can't read, you can't learn. And if you can't learn, you can't go into any profession, you can't be a good citizen. And we need to go right at that. The beauty of the United States of America is other places have solved this problem. Mississippi has gone from 49th to 9th in the country in their reading scores. First, if you adjust for socioeconomic status. And they passed a few things that we can do day one. One is they passed a science of reading law. A science of reading law says, and it's going to be very common sense to this audience, but it says, the teachers can pick the curriculum they want. However, they must pick evidence-based, proven curriculum. It's convenient in this case that we need to follow the evidence. So proven curriculum, and that is phonics. And we went away from that over the last 20 years, and we've seen scores drop since then. So we're going to do that. 2, we have to, if someone can't read by the 3rd grade, we have to hold them back. And because it's for the rest of their life. So we're going to do that. There's more to come on education, like parents' bills of rights, et cetera, but I'm at time, so I'm going to stop.
Thank you, Owen. Robert Wessels, to you on education.
This is one of the topics on my platform that got me really riled up, so much so that I decided, hey, I'm going to run for governor. Because we are failing our kids. As Owen said, 74% of our 4th graders are not proficient at reading, and that's just not acceptable. That's our future that we are failing. So number 1, day 1, Sarah Gagne Holmes is out. We need a new commissioner. Number 2, we need to get school choice in there. I agree with that. We need the competition. I come from the business world, and when you have competition in the business world, consumers win, you win. When we put competition into our public schools, the students and the parents win. That's what we need. We need us to win. We need our kids to win. And then with that school choice, I'm not your traditional school choice with a voucher because I hate the government strings that are attached to money. And so I want to go with the tax credit. And that tax credit means that the government's not giving you money, you're just not giving your government money. We can also, with that tax credit, we can opt in, which Janet Mills has chosen not to do with the big beautiful bill. We can opt into the Education Freedom Scholarship that was put in that bill on day 1 and make that an option for Mainers. Lastly, and most importantly, as they've said, we have to get back to the fundamentals. We're teaching the wrong alphabet with DEI, CRT, SEL. Let's get back to reading and writing and math.
Thank you, Mark. Bobby Charles, how would you change state education policy to improve student outcomes and get the woke out of our public schools?
So I come from a family of teachers. My mother was a remedial reading teacher for 40 years. She would be aghast at what's happening here right now. I have a brother who teaches, a sister who teaches. I taught. I will tell you what we need to do. 3 things: accountability, restructuring, and leverage. Accountability from the beginning to the end. We have to, in these schools, say you are accountable for learning, doing the hard thing, learning the character, learning the math, the reading. We have to give teachers the power to enforce that. We have to strip the state of massive administrative overreach. It's essential. We have to restructure the Department of Education. It's not just about changing out the commissioner. It's about wire brushing that place of all the ideology. It's got to be done. And finally, we need to leverage the 55% of budget that goes, although it's really kind of inaccurate to say that, but that goes to all of the local communities, and we have to empower the parents. This is about empowering parents, whether you're a homeschooler, public schooler, Christian schooler, secular, non-Christian school. At the end of the day, we have to prioritize the kids. If we don't, we have failed them.
Jim Libby, the same question to you.
Oh, great. Look, I've been an educator for 36 years. This morning when I started my day, I was at Thomas College teaching at 8 a.m., teaching an international economics class. And then I went to the state senate to do my job there. I've been involved at all levels. I've taught high school mathematics. I've taught at full-time at 3 different colleges. And I'm here to tell you exactly what's wrong. First of all, the commissioner's name is Pender Macon. And secondly, here are the problems. There is no discipline in the schools, so we need to work on the discipline problem. Thank you. Back to the basics was a really good idea. I agree with that. If you look in the law, Maine only requires 2 years of mathematics to graduate from high school in the law. Massachusetts requires 4 years of mathematics. They were at the bottom when I started in 1992, and we were at the top, and it's completely switched around. Better teacher training, that's a key piece. Teachers are coming into the profession, young people with all kinds of, they really want to do a great job. They're not getting the training they need, and there's differences between the college and the instruction. Back to the basics, good. Action on chronic absenteeism. Yeah. The absentee meeting that some schools have takes place once a month. In the meantime, a child has missed 10 classes. Are we going to really look at it that way? Thank you.
Hey, Steve. Steve, can I respond?
Yes, 30 seconds to respond.
So he mentioned Pender Macon. Absolutely correct. Thank you, Jim. I will stand by Sarah Gagne Holmes, who's over DHHS, also on day one.
David Jones, what would you do to shape education policy to improve student outcomes and drive out pernicious ideologies from our public schools?
Well, it starts at the top. Pender Macon's got to go. There has to be a commissioner of education that gets it and really wants our kids to learn something other than DEI, SEL, and CRT. This is sickening what our children are learning. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter. She came home one weekend. She's in a school, and she said, "Oh, hey, Papa, you know, the librarian was reading a book to me about a little boy that wears a girl's dress, the boy in the tangerine dress." And I looked at her like, oh. She goes, "I know you didn't want me to listen to it, so I covered up my ears, but I could still hear what they said." And then she sees me infuriated, and she goes, "But Papa, please don't do anything because they won't like me." So here's a 5-year-old child that's being taught alternative lifestyles that I don't want her to know at that age, right? And fear of retribution. I went to school, and I wasn't the greatest student in the world. You can imagine that. I was the guy that was always in trouble. They had a permanent seat in me with a piece of tape on it, had my name on it in the principal's office. But you know, the bottom line, I never knew my teacher's politics. We did math and science, and we did math and addition, subtraction, multiplication, division in our heads. We didn't depend upon a calculator or a phone. We got to teach our kids to use their brains again, and we have to have vocational training in the state of Maine. Try and get a plumber or a carpenter or anyone else to do anything to fix one of the problems you have around your house.
Last but not least, Jonathan Bush, your education policies as governor.
Yeah, from I believe number 1 under Jock McKernan all the way to number 42. I think someone said 76% of fourth graders can't read. But we do have a holiday for every possible reason to get out of school. And a special consulting firm from the state, when our measures fell apart, that did a study called Measure What Matters. And it has a bunch of things that you should measure instead of whether kids can read and do math because of AI. Holy cow. The solution, just like everywhere else I'm looking, beat back Augusta and bring in the market. This Department of Education needs to shrink. Like every other agency, it's got grant money and excuses and problems that has allowed it to backfill more and more and more people and money and mission. The mission statement isn't, we're going to teach these kids to read, so help me. It's, well, also we're going to appreciate social skills and history and all kinds of stuff. When you have that broad a mission, you can't succeed. I have kept thousands of people on mission. I had 6,500 people, started in my basement with 2 friends, but we got to 6,500 people and 850 other companies. Think about all those school districts that depended on our marketplace. And we had strict real-time visibility and complete accountability. When a school in Maine can't teach their kids to read, they lose their funding. It goes to the families. The families can go Christian, they can go choice, they can give hell to the school administrators, but we need to get rid of the superintendents and the administrators and the distractions and stay focused on the core.
We'll now take a 5-minute break if anybody needs to go to the bathroom or powder their noses, but be back promptly in 5 minutes and we'll restart with the questions.
Okay.
Said I'm having a hard time controlling my face.
Oh. Did we start the timer?
Mission at the debate, Tom Shattuck. Pretty fiery first half of the debate. What was your initial takeaway so far?
I think Bobby Charles has been consistently very strong, and I thought he had a great command in strong, very tight answers. There's a Bobby Charles shirt right there.
Yeah.
How do you think he's doing? There you go.
There we go.
But I thought Owen was out of the box.
Yeah.
Just excellent. And actually, Gately and I said the same thing. That Owen was he kind of like stole the ball and ran it across down the court for a layup.
Saying that's what everyone in the comment, a lot of people in the comments were saying the same thing. And just to clarify, everyone, this is an intermission, so we will be back to part 2 of the debate in about 5 minutes here. But we're going to give our quick thoughts, and then we do have a great sponsor, JT Reed in Auburn, that John visited. So we'll get to that video and then kick it back to the second half of the debate. But John, your thoughts?
Of the debate so far, I mean, this is the pinnacle event of the election season. I mean, just, kudos to, the Cross Center, Maine Policy Institute, Civic Action League, and most importantly, the Maine Wire. This is a high-class event. Steve Robinson comes right out of the debate, out of the box, asks hard-hitting questions, fair and, balanced questions, but only Steve Robinson can do what Steve Robinson did tonight. I think it kind of put some of the candidates back on their heels a little bit, like, whoa, we haven't had this kind of a debate, but I think it was an important type of thing, and kudos to Steve. And I think everybody's having a good time, and I think it's very eye-opening that, I think Jack said it earlier in the pre-show. Like, we have eight good candidates. Any one of these 8 candidates is better.
Oh yeah.
Than Janet Mills, or or Dr. Shaw or Shanna Bellows or Hannah Pingree. So, but people have to get up and get out and vote this election.
Yes.
And if you liked a person that you saw today and you don't come out and vote for them in the primary, then you have failed Maine just as much as Governor Mills has failed Maine. You have to get out and vote. This is the most important election. People say it all the time, oh, this is the most important election of our lifetime. But this one truly is. So if you're impressed with anybody today and you don't come out and vote for these guys, because these guys are working hard.
Yeah.
They are really working hard. They're nonstop. They're 7 days a week. And this is the perfect opportunity for you to see who is the best candidate for you today.
And Jack, you and I, the first thing we did was when we came out here for a moment to reload in the lobby area, we'll say that Owen McCarthy just seemed to score the first bunch of points.
Well, except for Steve Robinson's points. I mean, he got like 8 right in a row. But yeah, Owen McCarthy, I don't know these candidates. I'm from Massachusetts. I'm the visitor. I don't know who has the advantage. I'm just saying, as a messenger, all these guys have more or less the same views. McCarthy sounded like a pretty good messenger to me tonight so far.
Yeah, and you know what else he had?
He's always been impressive in all the debates, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Well, and I thought that Bobby Charles had just the right amount of heat and passion and depth of knowledge in his answers, especially about crime. He said what I wanted to hear. He scratched an itch that anybody reads the Main Wire wants to hear somebody's Nick kick some asses.
Mm-hmm.
But Owen McCarthy was just kind of suddenly the most fun guy at the dinner table. And I know that that's not really substantive.
Charles wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I just think his expectations were a little bit higher. And so, so, and I had no expectations from Mr. McCarthy.
Not at all. As I was, it almost, and I know this is a sin to say this, but I almost was like, do we need all 8? Now I'm glad that he made the cut. I'm glad that just about everybody.
I think Jonathan Bush always kind of impresses too. It surprisingly impresses. Yes.
Yes, I totally agreed. I uploaded a piece of video with Jonathan Bush talking about how to fix Medicaid. That's kind of his bailiwick, right? And he's a quirky guy, which makes him very interesting. He was doing crowd work for a moment. He's like, "Oh, no, please." And I thought, anytime somebody can break through, and go right ahead.
Well, I was going to say this has been a great discussion. I hate to do this, but we are in a little bit of a time crunch. So, John, we do have a great sponsor for this event. Everyone has been concerned about your safety. So I'm going to play a video right here that I think is going to alleviate a lot of people.
We're here out in Auburn. I've been in business over 40 years now. Did a whole bunch of time on the Auburn Police Department, over 17 years to be exact on the Auburn Police Department. So I know the area extremely well. I get along extremely well with everybody. It's just at the point in time that individuals, they've got to start taking care of themselves. They can't be looking down the road for the police department to do it, for the neighbors to do it. Start taking care of yourself. Start protecting your own property, your own family. And that's what we do here.
Very nice to meet you. Thanks for all your help and everything.
Where's this come from?
This is the Sword of Truth. This is the banned item from the debate that you're up on.
It is?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. We give safety courses. We will teach you how to teach you how to take care of yourself. We have everything here, virtually every handgun you can imagine, long gun, handgun. Come and see us. Come and see us. Come in on a Saturday or Sunday. Get to know us. Get to know the individuals that come in. A lot of veterans come in. A lot of old-time police officers come in. Boy, the stories we tell. That's something. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for doing what you're doing. We greatly appreciate it. And I do have to make another point. Steve Robinson, he and I have something in common. We are both graduated from the same high school. Mom grew up in Dexter, so go Dexter too.
Well, on behalf of the Reeds, hopefully you'll accept it. Timber Freedom. 9 mil.
Wow.
Still carry.
Wow. That's extremely generous of you guys.
You betcha. You got to speak up. You got to speak up. You've got to sponsor who's out and about. And that's why we want to sponsor you. Exactly what. You were on the front lines. You and Steve were on the front lines.
Well, it's officially all yours.
How great are these guys from JT Reed's? I mean, these are real Americans. They're real Mainers. Big supporters of the Main Wire, and they just want the fraud and corruption to be, resolved here in Maine and go back to Maine the way life is supposed to be. Fraud-free and vacation land and home of the free. And these guys are great. You can't thank them enough for their donations and my gift here and donating sponsorship to the debate up in Bangor. And these guys are great. Thank you, JT Reed.
All right back to the debate hall we go for the second half of
New Hampshire, because that's where he can operate his business. That cannot happen here anymore. The idea that Janet Mills was a queen ruling over us the entire time during COVID is sickening. I created a lawsuit with several friends to sue her for violating our constitutional rights during COVID. She violated our 4th, 5th, and 6th. I had Steve Smith do it. We had great people. Guess what? We lost. Why? Because the damn judges. The judges we have here in the state of Maine, we've got to really shake this thing up. So we got to make sure that government the government never, ever, ever does what they did to Rick Savage or anybody else like that. Tell them they can open up their shop, let them go out and buy the food, and then the day before they do it, shut them down again. That is not the Maine I know, and that is not the Maine I would have as governor of the state of Maine.
Thank you, David. Owen McCarthy.
Rick, to get you to come back, we got to do a lot of stuff, okay? First, we need to fix the fundamentals. And to me, fix the fundamentals is we're going to do a 10% income tax cut immediately on day one, and we're going to phase it out over time. So that's no longer an impediment with New Hampshire. Number two is we're a small business state. We have 135,000 small businesses. We also have 135,000 rules and regulations, one for each of you. So what we're going to do, for every one new rule and regulation proposed, we're cutting two. So over time, that's going to go down, and we're going to grow the small businesses, and that ratio is going to get much more favorable in the future. Three, Rick, if I were you, I would look at the energy costs in Maine and say, like, what am I doing running a business here? And that is a major problem. As I travel across the state of Maine, I'm talking to both like people that own farm homes and businesses, and they're saying, why should I stay there? My electricity bill has doubled or tripled or gone up 4x in some places. So we're going to tackle that too. I don't know if you knew this, but 10% of your electricity bill right now is solar subsidies, right? Those are hidden fees. There's another $400 million in hidden fees with other programs that have been pushed through on the generators, hidden by politicians that don't want to have accountability. We need to take those hidden fees, bring them back into the budget, and bring them down as low as possible so Rick Savage can move back to Maine.
Jonathan Bush.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is why I'm running. We're a state of 137,000 businesses. More businesses per capita than, did you say John Bush?
No, we picked up 2,000. Thanks for it. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
137,000 small businesses in a state, more of them per capita than any state except Florida. And yet we're number 46 in our small business climate. Fourth worst. That's unbelievable. And it is because Democrats in Augusta grab power by virtue signaling. They say, I'm going to take care of Betty, so I get an agency or a law or a rule where I can adjudicate, as opposed to good judgment Mainers deciding who and what they want to associate with. We need to relentlessly beat back those commissars that have accumulated power over time so convincingly that businesses start to believe that we're serious. In my business, I was a total outsider, and I attracted thousands of people to believe that they could be in the overregulated, bureaucratic healthcare space as free-moving people. And when we got successful, we invited hundreds. We had a program called More Disruption Please, MDP, and we brought hundreds of businesses in to sell through to our customers to wake up the economy. I have done nothing for 30 years, but make the free market work for small businesses of every kind. And that is the kind of CEO we need. A lobbyist or an insider to the existing Augusta virus will not cut it.
Bobby Charles.
So I think one of the things we all agree on or should agree on is this is a business hostile state. We need to become a business-friendly state. And I would argue that most of the folks on this stage and in this audience know how to do that. We are going to roll back hundreds of regulations that pick any sector in the economy, any small business sector, they're destroying it. We're going to roll back the income tax. It will take me 4 years. I have CPAs working it to get it down as close to zero as we can, and we will get it down. We will roll back the property taxes by rolling back all of the mandates that are being inflicted right now on towns. We're going to put this state back in a position where energy is actually affordable. And with Jim Lebrecht and a lot of other good, hard-working people, we're going to roll back the hundreds of regulations that drive energy costs up. I think we can get them down 30 or 40%, and there's a whole plan for that. At the end of the day, we're going to try to make this not a state where every single year, and the legislators here know that, they raise the income tax again. There are two more bills in there, LD 229 and 1089, and they will drive out 7% of our top earners. We lose 300 or 400 businesses a year. We need to reverse the vicious cycle, create a virtuous cycle, and become known for being a low tax, low spending, pro-business state.
Penn Midgley, what would you do to bring guys like Rick back to the state of Maine?
All right, this is such a hard topic to do in a minute and a half. So, I mean, I know what's going on here. I created 15,000 jobs just from building one company. What's going on right now in Maine is there is 0 jobs forecasted in the economic plan for Janet Mills, 0 through 2029. You can't even do that bad if you try. So you've got to get into full pro-business support mode. Right now, our welfare system, too, is working against our business owners. The average welfare recipient in the state of Maine gets $40,000 in benefits. That's why we're 4% lower in labor force participation. Nobody needs to work. So you got to get that system going again. Day one, you got to have an executive order to review all the Democrat legislation that has been harmful to business and how to unwind that. Another executive order that has to go in, just because it's one of the worst deals that I've ever seen, is this sappy dam deal. You got to kill that, because that just speaks to what Maine does to businesses. Okay? You got to cut corporate and personal taxes. Taxes are far too high. We're one of the highest tax states in the country, one of the lowest average incomes. You got to get costs lowered for business owners. Right now, there's no reason to start a business in Maine. Between electricity, employment, taxes, regulations, over 135,000 regulations, that's a real number. You have got to get things like FMLA out of the way. 1%. They're already looking to raise FMLA to 1.5 or 2%. It hasn't even started yet, because that many people are applying for their break before it even begins. Business owners can't manage things like that, so we've got to get common sense back in play.
Garrett Mason. I'll tell a short story. First of all, Rick, I remember watching everything that happened to you from my couch while we were during COVID, and it was just horrific. And it was one of those stories that it'll forever stick with me for what you went through, and I'm very sorry for that. And I agree with so much of what has been said on this stage, but I want to tell you a short story. When I was elected to the legislature, we had a rally, and it was introducing the first Republican majority that had ever been in 40 years. And while I was standing there, I watched up and down the stairs as people were crying. And I leaned over to the person I was with, Dale Crafts, and I said, Dale, they're so happy that we're here. We've come to save them. And he looked at me and laughed and said, those people are Democrats, and they're going to lose their jobs. And when I'm elected governor, that is exactly what I'm going to go after. We are going to go after the bureaucrats that did that to Rick Savage, and we're going to make sure they're no longer anywhere close to implementing any regulation like Janet Mills did to him. It's untenable what happened there. We have to clean house in the bureaucracy, because they're like ticks, so many of them. They burrow in very deep and make you very sick. Jim Libby.
Rick, I hope you'll look at my record. I want you to consider my campaign, go to my website, think of my record. The first thing I'm going to bring to your attention and to other business owners in here is that I personally wrote the program that is called Better, Business Equipment Tax Rebate Program. I personally wrote that, and we passed it into law. I got some help. We turned it into a governor's bill, but I wrote it for that governor. And that has had research behind it. There's a report that says it has saved thousands of jobs in this state and created them. Another part of my record that I'd like you to consider is that when the executives from Nestle called me up back in the 1990s and said, we've got 6 sites that we're planning to extract water from, 3 of them are out of state. I said to them, we can create a TIF, tax increment financing, around that district in Hollis, Maine, and we can build a Poland Spring plant. And guess what? We did. And we created, go back and look at the video, because I was interviewed right out front of the plant when we had the groundbreaking. And you will see that I have been a champion of tax cuts and reducing regulation for 20 some odd years in the Maine legislature. I have worked so hard while I was a full-time employee, I have worked so hard to bring down taxes and regulations. So I would say, look at the record.
Robert Wesson.
I've spent the last 20 years running stores, doing retail, and creating a culture within my store, a culture that's positive and works for both customers as well as associates. And the reality is that what you're describing right now is an absolute toxic culture in our state government. It's a culture of retaliation. It's a culture of retribution and fear. and it has to end. We need new leadership in the state government that will hold people accountable. On day one, we will need to have people sign saying explaining this is how we should be acting in our jobs, in our government. And then we hold them accountable to that expectation. It's really simple, but it's really, clearly they're not doing it. And so you see that through Greenies Turkeys. You see that certainly with Rick Savage. You also see it with DHHS daycares. I've talked to several of them around it. So again, this is a toxic culture that is absolutely destroying our state, and it's keeping people from opening up and being honest and telling what they're seeing inside. So the reality is we're shooting down whistleblowers before they even have the chance to blow that whistle. Again, I agree with so much of what everybody said as far as the business environment. We have to repeal regulations, repeal, and then we have to get our costs under control because we're chasing businesses out of the state.
As governors, you're going to have to think on your feet, so we're going to cut the response time down to 60 seconds to make sure these trains run on time and save you 2 minutes for your closing statements. We found him, Mike Quattrano. He was actually out registering voters, knocking on doors.
Nice.
Mike Quattrano from the Maine Civic Action.
Thank you all very much for being here. Obviously, one of you is going to win this primary and be our nominee. And then the real fight begins. For the love of God, you have to win this general election for the state of Maine. You have to. This question is directed to each of you. Why are you the best candidate to win this general election? Or what is your plan to win this general election for the state of Maine? Thank you all very much.
Garrett Mason, you're first on this question.
I love this question. First of all, I'm the only one that's kept a back-to-back Senate majority ever in state history since the 90s. I've done this before. I can do it again. One of the things that I did when I was in office was I started an internship program that saw 66 people knock on hundreds of thousands of doors from 2014 to 2018, and that's what caused us to win the majority in the state Senate. The other thing that I will do is every single time that I have been on a ballot, I have always worked with not only the other House members when I was a senator in my district, but anybody who needed help. I was willing to stand in the gap and raise money for them, and I will do that as governor. We need somebody who can not only implement the job as governor, but we need somebody who can be a standard bearer for the Maine Republican Party. I've done that before. I can do it again. The election piece is my favorite part of the job, to be honest with you. It's a lot of fun to get people elected, and when you do it right, you can win and implement real change.
Ben Midgley.
Okay, 60 seconds. Okay, I'd say the highlights are, well, look, I'm from Maine. I love this place. It matters a lot to me. I think your temperament and your focus when you get into the general election is going to matter significantly. I think you have to talk to the independents and the disenfranchised Democrats in a very particular way so they understand, because they're feeling pain too, that the Republicans are the ones that are going to set up the structures so individuals and families can take much better care of themselves rather than having the state take care of them. Mathematically, and I'll say it again in my closing, I'll just say it now, you can't win this election without independents. We're outnumbered by 40,000 registered Democrats. So one way or another, whoever gets through has to make sure you connect with those people in the right way so they're just not looking at some upset Republican or just blaming Democrats for everything, but somebody who's going to bring solutions to the table that are going to benefit everyone. And then we need to make sure we keep Republicans in the office for years to come.
Robert Wessels.
Maine is fiercely independent. As I've been campaigning over the last 2.5 years, I've heard it from hundreds of people who say the best government is one that stays out of the way, or the best government is one that leaves me alone. That is the government that I'm proposing. I am a small government guy. We need to cut our government. We need to get them out of our business. And again, they're doing the exact opposite right now. This is me. We need a governor that will raise all ships, right? And I have, my campaign over the last 2 years have worked with at least 21 other campaigns around the state, House, Senate, local, selectmen. and brought them up. Again, if I get in governor, great. But if we don't have the House and if we don't have the Senate, then it's just a fancy veto pen. We absolutely have to do that. I am Cincinnatus. I'm a farmer. I'm going to come to Rome. We're going to get rid of the tyranny, and then go back to the farm.
Jim Libby.
Sure. Well, I think I am the best candidate, and one of the things that I really want to do is take on the toughest problems. You know what? One of the toughest problems that affects every single one of you? The degradation of our healthcare system. And that has happened because we've allowed the state to play around with the Medicaid system. And we need to freeze the people that are on the Medicaid system, and we need to change eligibility because our current governor thinks that Medicaid for people who need help should be a backdoor single-payer system. We can't have that. And I will stand up to people who aren't willing to do that. Medicaid is, it's a hands-off political issue. No, it isn't. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. The second thing is, did you see the bill? The Democrats want to make sure that we put a moratorium on building data centers. I want investment in this state. They want to make sure we don't have it. And almost all of their policies prove it. Thank you.
Owen McCarthy, your plan to win the general election.
Mike, to win this, we need good message and good messenger. Where I studied to find the best message is an ironic place because Vermont had the most Republican legislator wins in 2024. They talked about economy and they talked about safety. My plan, Maine 2040, addresses opportunity, affordability, and discipline in how we run our government. All things we can win on Republican values with independent and some Democrat votes. As a messenger, I have that vision. I also am an entrepreneur. I've created jobs here. I'm an engineer. I solve problems and I think outside the box. I think that's what we're going to need to win in 2026. I also am the only candidate on this stage with any roots north of Augusta. And I can speak to rural voters, and I built businesses in the southern part of the state, so I can merge the two together. We're in the fourth industrial revolution right now with what's happening with AI, and I've worked in our heritage industries of paper and pulp. I could talk to you about sawmills and software. You put those together, we can win this year.
David Jones.
Well, I'm that guy. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lobbyist. I'm not a career politician. They're the ones that got us to where we are here today. We need someone that's an outsider, an absolute businessman, a CEO, someone that's ran his own company, signed the front of the check, and built the company from scratch. Now, we got problems in Augusta. They're serious. Is it going to be solved with more of the same? Are we all going to be satisfied with lip service? You get a guy like Bobby Charles. I've been involved here in the state of Maine for 30 years. I've been out here busting my butt protecting conservative values. He drops in here in 2022 and tells me he's going to run the state of Maine. Please, cut me a break. I think what we have to do here is we got to hire someone that's got a set of principles that are really, really in the favor of Mainers. If we don't, it's only going to get bad.
Bobby Charles, 60 seconds to respond.
So I grew up in a little town of 500 people, and the values that define me and have defined me all my life are the values of Maine. I was working at 12. At 17, I was building houses with World War II vets. I've been back in this state every year of my entire life, and most seasons of those years. I look around and I look at what's going on in this state, and I say to myself, when I got back here, gosh, I am just in shock. This is not the state that I grew up in. I am truly committed to the idea that if we don't work together to fix it now, this state will not be brought back. So I went away to serve. I served my country. My whole life is about service. I served my country for 10 years as a naval intelligence officer. I served in the Reagan White House. I served with law enforcement. I served running and training people all over the world, police officers in Iraq, Afghanistan. I set it all up. I am about service. I am not about money. And as a result, when I got back to Maine, I realized that all those tools I had managing billions of dollars and running down drug traffickers required stepping up. So I am stepping up.
Jonathan Bush, your plan to win.
How are we going to win the general, right?
Correct.
We've lost 14,000 members of the Republican Party since 2014. But we have good news on our side, which is Mainers want to switch right now. The right track, wrong direction. They want to switch. All parties want to switch. So what's key is and when you ask them why, they say the economy. They say Augusta got too big, and I can't tell my kids that they're going to do even as well as me. There's not enough opportunity in this state, and we're being suffocated. So that's the playbook. If you want to bring a winning team to that strategy, you must bring an outsider who has successfully generated thousands of jobs for hundreds of businesses. I started a company in my basement. I grew it to 6,500 people of every party, and they are supporting me anyway because they believe in me. They've seen me make possibility for them at scale. They've seen me wake up Belfast and Waldo County. I thought we were doing 90. One?
Cut it down to 60 seconds.
Oh, great. Well, that's enough. I had a really good last 30, but you'll have to wait till the next question for it.
And Bobby, your most recent speaking was responding to David Jones. So 60 seconds. What is your plan to win the general election?
It is a two-part plan. First, people say to me, are you going to pivot in the general? And I say no. Why? Because Democrats and independents also think their property taxes and income taxes are too high. They also want the drug traffickers out of here. In fact, in southern Maine, even more, I think, than in many of the places in the northern part of the state. They want addiction services in this state, and they want their schools back. They have kids, too. And a lot of them don't want their money stolen and given away to a bunch of people in Medicaid fraud. So reason one is, and the proof of this, by the way, is when I was getting signatures, we ended up with dozens and dozens of Democrats switching on the spot with the little green cards to vote for me. So I said, wow, this is really interesting. I talked to some of the old timers. They said, no, that doesn't happen. I have 4,000 people who have given small dollar donations. They believe in me. The second big reason is I have the tools. I've managed billions of dollars. I will get the traffickers out. And even some of the Democrats and independents trust me.
Our next question will come from Maine Policy Institute Board Chairman Scott Wellman.
Thank you all for being here. It's been enlightening. Maine state budget has grown 77% in the last decade. Governor Janet Mills has proposed hundreds of millions of dollars in new spending in this legislative session alone, including a massive transfer of money from the Rainy Day Fund. Growth in spending is unprecedented, irresponsible, and unsustainable. What is your specific, realistic plan to stop this exponential growth in spending, and how will you accomplish it in a potentially hostile legislature?
Ben Midgley, you're first. 60 seconds.
Okay, so it took 200 years to get the state budget to $7 billion, and it only took 7 more years to get to $12 billion. That's your tax money every year going up. Right now, we have one of the highest tax states in the country, one of the lowest average incomes. The Democrats just bragged about having $250 million surplus in taxes. They stop you from getting conformity with national tax relief, and now they want to raise taxes. So it's all about tax. So we got to lower the taxes, and we've got to lower the spending. So day one, executive order, back to zero-based budgeting. Second executive order, no more no big contracts. You got a condensed budget in the state right now. It's 57 line items. Like I said, 80% is in 2 departments. Our main care system, 30% of the people in the state are on main care. Okay, you got to get that off. You create a bridge for these folks to make money so they can get off. They're not locked. They're locked in it right now. And then you create an orientation program for when they go in. That way you slow the input and accelerate the output, and you shrink the largest expense in the state. Am I on 60 here or 90? Okay.
60 seconds, Ben.
All right. I got a lot more on that.
60 seconds to you.
Yeah, so I've been part of budget negotiations for many years, and we passed the largest tax cut in state history with a split with Democrats, a 2/3 budget, which you don't even hear about anymore in Augusta. But we were able to pass the largest tax cut in state history under that very scenario. where we got Democrats to vote with us. But I think the biggest thing that you can do is you have to have somebody who understands how the budget process actually works. The next governor is going to get handed a budget from Janet Mills that's going to top $13 billion. And if you don't have the experience, you're not going to understand that while you're the candidate for governor, you have to be starting to work on your budget in August, because that's when they start building their budgets. With me, you will have somebody who's been there, done that, and can actually build a budget alongside of winning a campaign. That way we can get back to pre-2020 spending levels, reduce all the people who are on Medicaid, we can get our school funding under control, and actually be able to afford the budget we pass.
David Jones.
Give me that question again.
What are you going to do to rein in spending?
Well, let's start off right away with we got 1,500 jobs that are funded and unfulfilled. That's $200 million sitting in the bank. It's a slush fund for people to spend. Let's look at main care. Why don't we look at main care? You know, we got over 400,000 people. That's a third of the state of Maine that's on main care. How about if we make each and every one of them people on main care reapply? They need to reapply, and anyone who should not be getting it, especially non-citizens, is kicked off immediately. As soon as those applications come in, Mainers will benefit. I'm tired of Mainers being neglected. I've seen it. I've been traveling all over the state. The idea that Mainers cannot get the help that they truly need when we have non-citizens getting it. So if we reapply, have everyone that's on main care reapply, then we will eliminate a tremendous amount of spending here in the state of Maine. That's a boatload of money. And the idea that anybody from away is getting a benefit that a Mainer can't, I have a problem with that.
Thank you, David. Robert Wessels.
So I will start as soon, we need to cut $2 billion from the budget, and we're going to start that process as soon as I win the primary, because we do have to have a budget ready as soon as you start in governor. We're going to, in that $2 billion cut, we're going to freeze hiring. And they've talked about it several times. There are tons of positions that are currently built into each budget that we're funding but not using. We do a hiring freeze. We pull those positions out. We stop benefits to non-citizens. We cut the bureaucracy out of Maine Department of Education. Again, not the schools themselves, but the bureaucracy that is plaguing Augusta. We need somebody who is not going to be tweaking. It is time for reform in Augusta, and that's what I'm going to bring.
Thank you, Robert. Jonathan Bush.
Let's not talk about investigations or freezes. This is like trying to take over knotweed with a pair of hair scissors. This is an aggressive restructuring. We need to go after the shrinking of Augusta in an aggressive, sophisticated way. Thing one, cut $1 billion. The governor drops that bill down, and we watch. If we haven't won the majority in this election, who votes against it? And we run great candidates right up the nose of those people that voted against the tax cut in a state that's the 5th highest in the country. Then we start selling. Not when you're cutting somebody, there's got to be a winner. When you cut healthcare, the doctors have got to win. You got to say, we're going to give you more power and opportunity for upside. When you cut education, all these superintendents, every 5 feet, there's another superintendent. You've got to have families in charter schools that are winners that come and lobby for you. In each area of government, there are winners in the wings that want to be invited into play, and they will lobby all sides of the aisle to try to get, once there's a belief that as a governor who can do it, they will come to our aid.
Jim Libby.
Well, look, government is like a spigot. You know, you have to shut off the spigot. So the things that we need to talk about are lowering the rates. So I'm going to lower your income tax rate. We're going to save $1 billion over 4 years, and you're going to keep more money in your pocket. I'm also going to expand not just the Homestead Act, which needs to be expanded. It's been at $25,000 exemption on your home all the way through this inflationary period. We're going to triple the homestead and make a difference and put money back in your pocket. And when we're done, about $2 billion is going to come off of that budget. And that's really important that we make sure that we do that. Now, we're also going to cut jobs. For example, I'm on the education committee. Did you know that we recently put together a green buildings coordinator position for the Department of Education? That person works from home. They make $111,000 a year plus bennies. We're going to cut jobs.
Bobby Charles.
So it's obvious we're living in an Orwellian world from everything that you hear here. I just went through the 800-page budget, and it has grown $4.75 billion under her. So instead of cutting just $1 billion over a 4-year block, I am going to cut $4 billion. I am going to drive the income tax down and out. And then I'm going to do 12 basic things in 30 seconds. Zero-based budgeting. No more bringing the old budget and then adding to it. Start from zero. Performance metrics. Statewide hiring freeze. It has to be done. LePage did it. We have to get back to the idea she's grown the state employees by 20%. Attrition, bring them down. In fact, bring them lower. IGs, put the conservatives in charge of the financial side of this house on the administrative side, require people to work, get the Medicaid fraud out of there, all illegal aliens out of the state, wire brushed, and you can look for the rest on the website.
Owen McCarthy. Take us home.
You see this pen? This pen's going to be a red pen, and it's going to be out of ink after the first week in office. We're going to first put the main performance review to work, where we look at keep, fix, close programs, and we're going to make heavy recommendations to close programs. Second, for all fraud dollars, which we know there's a lot thanks to Steve and crew, that we find we're giving them back to the people of Maine. So, and we will publish that weekly, and you'll see what it's there, and you'll get it back. Third, we're going to re-sign a taxpayer bill of rights such that we are not going to increase anything by anything more than inflation ever in the history of Maine into the future. And finally, we're going to restructure how we're going to look at buying out existing employees and then moving in technology to modernize our government and make it better. I think there's a lot of efficiencies to be gained there, particularly if we can buy people out of their contracts. I think there is billions and billions of dollars to save in the budget.
Thank you, Rob. We'll now move on to closing statements. If you want more questions, some of you are going to have to drop out. Every candidate is going to have 2 minutes for their closing statement. We'll go in the opposite direction of the first questions. So Garrett Mason, you're first.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Steve, for a wonderful debate. I think we all had a great time, and to Maine Policy Institute for having us here tonight. Like I said in my opening statement, this is truly an upgrade, and it's really been awesome. So well done. But, you know, I think that you heard on stage tonight why Republicans deserve to have your vote in the 2026 election and why we deserve to be in the Blaine House once again. There is not a lot of disagreement amongst all of us on this stage. I would say that almost every idea that I heard tonight, I would agree with and I would implement and would be part of my plans moving forward. But I don't think that that's what this election is about. Our ideas are all the same, but the way that we get them done is different. You see, I think that the next governor has to have the right blend of skills and experience to be able to get the job done, not only on day one, but far before that. I've been the benefactor of a really, really cool experiences in my life. I've been able to be a state senator, serve for 8 years. I've been able to run my own businesses, and I've been able to blend those experiences into something that really matters. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have time for any on-the-job training when we get to the Blaine House in November. We don't have time to figure it out. We have to be ready to go right away. And so while I would vote for almost any man on this stage to be our governor because they would be far better than what the other side is offering, I believe that I am the right person for this time. I would appreciate your vote on June 9th. Please visit us at masonformaine.com, and thank you so much for having us tonight.
Thank you, Garrett. Jonathan Bush.
We have a problem. Maine is stuck If you take out a little pocket of Portland, we've gone back 20 years with zero economic growth. And the worm is turning, it's poisoning us. It's making us not who we are. We are resilient, flexible, hilarious, hardworking, good-natured people who don't need much, but just permission to be that self that we are. We need a radical plan. We need to radically restructure, like a takeover. Go in, dramatically cut taxes so that we're in the playbook, then go through every agency and every span and layer and prune it back. Prune back every single one. I have built my life making systems work at scale. I started in my basement. I grew all the way up to 6,500 people and 840 other companies feeding through the same platform we built. I am uniquely able to do that. More importantly, probably, in the doing of that, I had the faith and belief in this great state to bring 1,000 jobs here, 954 jobs here. I went through the baloney of getting in here. I don't think I hired Bobby's lobbying firm or Garrett's lobbying firm, but we had to hire lobbying firms and lawyers to get through Maine's bureaucracy so that we could do what we wanted, which was grow Maine's economy by succeeding with the great Maine workforce and work ethic. I believe that's what we need, not just to win. We need to put a guy up who has run things at scale, but who's an outsider to the mess we have and to the lobbying game. And then we need to bring those skills into Augusta, not catch the virus, but stay relentless. Cut those taxes, shrink back those agencies, and wake up the marvelous, flexible, gritty free marketeers that we are and rise.
Thank you, Jonathan. Bobby Charles, 2 minutes.
Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for caring about the state of Maine. 4 words. This needs to stop. We're in a state that is overspending, overtaxing, runaway drug trafficking, illegal aliens everywhere, Medicaid fraud. Our schools are broken. We need to fix it. Many moons ago, I worked in the Reagan White House, and Reagan went to the Berlin Wall. And you remember what he said? He said, tear down this wall. And people doubted. The world was full of doubters. They said it can't happen. And you know what? He didn't brook doubters. His attitude was, if you can envision it, if you can believe in it, you can do it. And you know what? In 1989, that wall fell. And I was over there behind the Iron Curtain for years beforehand, and when it fell, I went back. And these kids had sledgehammers that they were whacking that wall down with. And I will tell you, he proved it could be done. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to envision an accountable Maine. I want you to believe that an accountable Maine is in our power right here today. And then I want you to work with all you've got to do it. And I will tell you, I will be working with you every second of every day to get there, because we have to do this. And as an emblem of the fact that we can do this, we can envision it, believe it, do it. And quite honestly, at this moment, we should be one team, one fight, starting tonight. This is the Berlin Wall I brought back from that moment. Come see it. This means hope. It means we can do it. It means we must do it now.
Thank you, Bobby. Owen McCarthy.
I'm going to end where I started. Who's ready to win in 2026?
Yeah.
Let me tell you my why. So I grew up in the shadow of Mount Katahdin, the son of a 3rd-generation logger and a 2nd-generation lunch lady in a town called Patten, Maine. I grew up in a trailer on my grandfather's land, and I had it good. It was a great path. The schools, when I went through them, were 4th in the country. We've discussed they're no longer there. I learned a lot about hard work when I watched my father, who's right over there, go to work at 2 a.m., come home at 6 p.m. every single day and work on the truck on the weekends. You learn a lot about accountability and personal responsibility when as soon as you step out of line, your mom gets a phone call and you get disciplined when you get home. I then had a great path and went to the University of Maine on the pulp and paper scholarship and worked in our heritage paper industry, been in every paper mill except for Madawaska in the state, which I will fix. And
I then became an entrepreneur. I've started multiple companies, the most recent one in medical devices. That helps people improve walking if you have a stroke or live with Parkinson's disease. We raised $60 million of capital into this state, hired people, navigated all the journeys you need to get through healthcare, and proven you can do innovation here and not just in Silicon Valley. I don't believe, I'm also a husband and a father, and I don't believe, they're important to the story. I do not believe that those kids, Oliver and Theodore, have the same opportunity that I have. I don't believe if, like many of you, like a working class Mainer, it's affordable to live here, and this is 100% policy decisions coming out of Augusta. I think we need to hit the ground running. I have a plan, Maine 2040, to go do that. Read it on my website, because in closing, we need to make sure Maine is more than just vacation land for wealthy people. That's a place that we can live, work, and prosper. A place where whether you grew up on a double wide in the outskirts of Patton or a trailer off a dirt road in Presque Isle, you can use your God-given talents to reach your highest potential with nothing, not your state, and especially not your state government standing in your way. Thank you, Steve.
The applause line's in the middle of your statement. It's a double-edged sword, man.
I know,
David
I gotta
Jones.
speak faster.
Yes, so, I've been on the trail now for about 8 or 9 months, and I've listened to this guy, Bobby Charles. Right? And you can say what right? Get as mad as you want. The bottom line is, I don't believe anything he's saying. He embellishes everything he's ever done in his career. He inflates it to be something that it's not. The idea that you can eliminate $4 billion on a budget, making promises you can't keep, that's not what I want. I want reality. I want to make sure that whoever we elect to be governor of the state of Maine knows that what reality is. He needs a reality check. I don't think there's anybody that's ever served in the House or the Senate that would ever believe you can cut $4 billion off of this budget. It just doesn't make sense. He's missed 4 debates. 4 debates. He refuses to show up. I'm glad he's here tonight, and I'm finally getting a chance to talk to him on stage. But the bottom line is this. He's a no-show. He's dropped into the state in 2022. He's not the guy that I want to see governor of the state of Maine. Whether it's me or not, I don't care. All these other guys, I like them. Bobby Charles, there's no way in hell. He's not what we need. He's not what we need here in the state of Maine. We do not need a DC swamp rat. We do not need someone like Bobby Charles, who's come here and is filling us with a bunch of lies. So I'm being as plain as simple, like it or not. This is how I feel. I'm a man of truth. I have always been a man of truth. I say it the way I see it. You don't like it? You can't handle the truth? I'm sorry. Go to BobbyCharlesExposed.com. You don't believe me? Go to BobbyCharlesExposed.com. I didn't create that site, and I was surprised to find it. So if you want to see the truth, you want to see what's really going on, check it out.
Just save that kind of fight for the closing statements. Come on. We didn't contemplate this in the rules, but Bobby Charles, 30 seconds to rebut.
So this is what it looks like to be the front runner by double digits. The bottom line is my values are defined by the state that I grew up in. And I grew up right here in rural Maine. I did leave and I came back like so many of our Maine kids. I served my country, 10 years Navy intelligence. At the end of the day, we need to support our kids so they stay here. And I love this state. Vote for me.
We'll return to closing statements. Ben Midgley, 2 minutes.
Great to follow that. Okay. Well, I also want to say thank you to all of you for being here today. It really means a lot that you all showed up. It shows you care. Thank you to the Maine Policy Institute and Steve Robinson for doing a great job with this many candidates. So thank you. So 50% of winning is showing up. And I love that saying. A friend told me that, and I teach it to our kids all the time. So I showed up. These candidates showed up. You all showed up. Now we have to get our people to show up, and they have to get their people to show up. And if they do, that's 50% of getting us there. The other 50% is the right candidate. I have run billion-dollar companies. I have built a billion-dollar company from scratch and created 15,000 jobs. Very few people will ever have that experience, and it has given me a skill set to be able to run this government fluently and efficiently. Additionally, my team, in my opinion, has the most depth of any team in the field in terms of political expertise. I am literally surrounded by experts in state government, and they have won governor races in the state before. That being said, and I mentioned this earlier, we do have a math problem. Okay, there are 40,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans. And the only way we can win that is by getting the independents and the disenfranchised Dems in with us. And we do that, we win. We don't do that, we lose. It's that simple. That's how the math works. You all have to make that critical decision. And you all are the only ones that can do it. So I will just tell you in my closing that we all feel strongly that my team is best prepared to give you the best chance to have that win in November. So thank you again for your time, and we hope to earn your support.
Jim Libby, your closing statement.
Well, thank you, Stephen, and I appreciate it. I credit my success to family, faith, and ability, and I have no idea why I've been so blessed to have such a great life. Everything I've ever tried, I've been able to complete, from a PhD to creating a graduate program at Thomas College, co-creating it with a friend of mine, Tom Edwards. And when I wanted to coach basketball, I coached it. When I wanted to coach women, I coached them. I was offended when we created this whole idea that men should play in women's sports. And thank you. And I took the time with the group of supporters that I have, who are all volunteers, because again, I'm running a clean elections campaign. And I said to them, go out there and collect some signatures and let's make sure we get that on the ballot. Why did I do that? Not only do I believe in that, but understand this. For 40 years, I've been watching the Democrats put things on the November ballot that would help them. And this year, we were able to put something on the November ballot that'll bring out the conservatives, the Republicans, and the independents who believe in us and know that we are right. I was blessed with a great wife. My wife, Jennifer, will make an incredible first lady. We have worked 5 jobs for as many years as I can think of. She is a special educator in the elementary school level, and she also works as a part-time professor at the University of Southern Maine. And as you know, when I started my time back in the legislature, I became a state senator. I had 3 jobs. I was working at Thomas College full-time, 80% of my time at Colby, and I was a state senator. I'm tried, I'm tan, rested, and ready, and I want to work for you.
Robert Wessels, bring us home.
All right, home stretch. Here we go, people. We need our next governor to be focused on education. We are failing our kids. We've homeschooled our 3 kids all the way through. They're 17, 19, and 21. That has been the best parenting decision that we've made, and we need to make it easy for the people of Maine to continue to do that. We need our next governor to be business focused. Again, we are failing businesses around the state. We are pushing them out of the state, as well as families, and we need somebody in the Blaine House who makes decisions that are business friendly. I am a Christian family man. We need somebody in the Blaine House with integrity and principles. They're seriously lacking right now.
Yeah.
I am a political outsider. This might be my greatest characteristic. We need a fresh perspective. We don't need somebody who's going to tweak. We need reform in Augusta. And I'm a team player. Again, I said it earlier, but it's really critical. We need the person who is running for governor to bring everybody else around from the state. That includes all of the Republicans, but that also includes the independents, okay? We need to win the House. We need to win the Senate. If any one of us gets governor, but we don't have the House and Senate, we're not going where we need to go. And lastly, we need you. We need each one of you. There's hundreds of people here tonight. Thank you for showing up. It's exciting, it's energizing, but we need you to take that energy and to go out and to win elections. We need you to go door to door. We need you to send texts, to do calls, to get your friends, your neighbors, people in church, family. We need you to motivate your circle of influence to win in November. Go to voterobertwessels.com to learn more. Thank you.
That will conclude tonight's main Republican gubernatorial debate, just a little over time, unless, Rick, do you want to tell the Janet Mills Joe Kane story? Oh, we'll save that for later. But please join me, everybody, in giving a round of applause to all of the candidates for coming out here tonight.
Nice job, Gage.
This debate will be available to rewatch at themainwire.com and on all the Mainwire's social pages. Thank you to our sponsor for the stream tonight, JT Reed's Gun Shop in Auburn, the official gun supplier of the indispensable John Featherston. Thank you to all the Mainwire readers, listeners, and subscribers who came out tonight or joined our live stream. Thank you to Matt Gagne, Heather Noyes, and the rest of the team at the Maine Policy Institute for organizing tonight's debate. For viewers at home, the stream continues on the post show. But for everyone here at the Cross Center, please assist us in clearing the event space quickly by bringing your post-debate conversations to the lobby or parking lot. Thank you very much.
Okay, we are live here for the debate, the Clash at the Queen City post-game show. It's just me right now. Tom is on the stage wrangling, getting some of the aftermath of the David Jones, Bobby Charles spat there that we saw at the end. And then John Featherston will be joining us shortly. John Featherston is working the spin room, so he will be talking to the campaign staff, talking to the candidates, and getting their reactions on how the candidates did. Overall, I thought it was an excellent 2-hour debate. I thought all the candidates were good. I don't think there was any particularly bad standout performance in the entire debate. A lot of people monitoring the chat seem to think that Owen McCarthy had maybe a breakout performance tonight. People seem to like what Ben Midgley did, just from the unscientific chat perspective. And then Bobby Charles, a divisive figure. He's getting a lot of support. He's was probably the front runner heading into the debate. Excuse me. Did he do enough tonight to solidify the lead, to keep the lead that he had, or did someone another different candidate? And we've got David Jones right here. Looks like he'll be joining us in a second, potentially. Tom Shattuck coming in now. You're live, gentlemen. Right here. All right. So live in the spin room with Tom Shattuck and David Jones. After the 2-hour debate, David, how do you think it went?
Well, I think it went great. Finally, I've been waiting for that guy to be on stage with me. He just ducks every single, debate we have. He's missed 4. And I just think, people got to know.
And if people didn't see it, and I think you might have been back here, David Jones went after him very aggressively, called him a liar to his face.
No, I'm not saying anything to you or that I wouldn't say to him. Listen, I'm a patient guy. But when it comes right down to it, I like to tell the truth. I've raised my kids to tell the truth. I run my business on truth. And when I see this guy going and embellishing every single thing he ever did, I just get to a point where, that's right. Thank you very much. I love it. I see. And when people can't handle the truth, that's what you have. The bottom line.
So what put you over the edge?
Well, look, John, you and I have been on the trail, and he's talking about Lewiston. Has he ever been in Lewiston? I've never seen
I haven't been with him in Lewiston.
I haven't seen him in Lewiston. I've spent countless hours. I've been to Augusta town committee meetings. Same thing. So like, these people are MIA, and as governor, you got to be involved. You got to understand what's going on, and you got to have a pulse on the state. For 30 years, 30 years, I've been involved in the state of Maine. I've committed my life, my family, my business, everything into the state of Maine. And when I see this guy fly in here in 2022 under what I think are more than suspicious circumstances and decides that he can run the state of Maine, I'm sorry, I got a problem with it.
What did you think about him saying you're all just jealous because he's a front runner?
No, look, tell the truth, be who you are, show up. You know, Ben Misley said it, like, you got to show up. We had 4 debates that Bobby Charles refused to show up for. Why? You know why? Because he knew that I was going to confront him. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
So do you think that that voters in that room wanted to see that? Because some of them were ticked off. There's no doubt about that.
No, sure.
And you said it in there. And in case you guys don't remember, weren't watching live. You said it in there. You don't really care if they're ticked off. You're going to say what you want to say.
Listen, no, here's the way I feel about it.
You know, no political consultant would tell you to be doing that.
I don't care. Look, I started this campaign because I wanted to be the next governor of Maine because I believe I have the skill sets to do it.
Yep.
And when you got people up there that are running their jaw and making promises, you know, what put me over the top tonight was when he said he was going to cut $4 billion. Look, I'm a numbers guy. Numbers don't lie. People do. The idea that you can cut $4 billion in 4 years, I'm sorry. You know, not possible.
Not buying it. Is anybody else on your shit list, or is it just one? One competitor?
I don't know if you call it a shit list. I like all these guys, and whether I'm the governor or not. You know, I told my wife when I decided to run that if I win, fine. If I don't, fine. But you know, one thing I will tell you, I will not lie. I will always tell the truth. I will always have the backs of the people of the state of Maine. That's what I care about. I'm not going to sit there and try and be something that I'm not. And so, like, they're all good guys. I mean, some more qualified than others, but I'm an outsider. I'm a businessman. I'm a guy that's always signed in front of the check. I'm a guy that I made my life. I've done pretty darn good in life, only because I worked hard. I worked very hard to be who I am. And so nothing came easy. I wasn't given anything on a silver platter. And, I want people in Maine to understand that what I want to be is the opportunity governor. I want them to realize the opportunity that David Jones had when he was a kid that made me what I am today.
Well, you certainly got a message across tonight. It made for a very good video, among other things. David Jones, thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
All right, so that is David Jones. Garrett Mason is over there. If he wants to pop on here.
Come have a seat, please.
You can write right here if you want in the red.
Hey guys.
How are you?
Good. How'd it go?
Do you want to call anybody a liar to their face?
Not today. Maybe later. But no, it was. We had a great time. I'm so thankful for this forum because, as somebody who's done this before, like I said on stage, I mean, this is how you communicate to people in today's world. I mean, having a production at this level, what you guys are doing right now is so important for the future of the party. And I'm just so thrilled that you're doing it. So well done. Well done to you guys.
Well, thank you. One of the things I thought that you said that sets you apart from everybody else is that the budgeting process, the governing, has to start now.
Yeah.
Even though none of you are governor yet.
That's right.
Explain to people in case they missed it, the nuance of that.
Yeah, so what happens, and this happened to Paul LePage when he came into office, the previous governor starts building out their budget in August. And that's just a function of necessity. You have to do it because it's a huge budget, not just in numbers, but it's also just a huge budget because you're running an entire state. So that process starts out in August where commissioners start building out what they think that they want. The next Republican governor is going to have to be a candidate and also draft their next budget because if they don't, Janet Mills commissioners are going to hand you a $13 billion budget. And I can tell you, as somebody who has been there before and done that and, made suggestions for things that should be defunded or funded in budgets in the past, you have to start that process then. I can tell you, if I'm elected governor, there will not be a Janet Mills budget number 5. It will be a Garrett Mason budget because I've done it before.
Gary, call me cynical, and I'm newer to Maine politics, but would you foresee the Mills administration trying to hamstring the incoming administration?
I mean, maybe there's always a possibility, but I could see that. I mean, if you don't have an experienced governor or experienced person going into that role, they could slide all kinds of things in there that you might not realize are there. And so that's why, my pitch is different. I'm not going to stand up there and say I've never been involved in government and all these things. I have been. I understand these things, and I know what has to happen well before you actually get elected. And I think that's what brings, power to my candidacy. Is like, I don't need to depend on anybody else. I don't need a team of people telling me how it works and what to do. I can do it right away.
So what do you think happens after tonight? I mean, this is getting great views. It's gotten good publicity. I think, the candidates got to show who they are. What do you think? Does the race tighten up? Does somebody drop out going forward? What do you envision?
Yeah, I think that it's it's kind of a function of time. We're like less than 3 months away now at this point. I think you'll start to see the field kind of bunch up. That's usually what happens in these elections. And so I anticipate that we're going to be on top of the pack. We feel really good on our fundraising. We feel really good. There's been tremendous outside support. And we've gotten great reviews on events like this. So I'm very happy with where we are. And I'm going to just continue to bring the message that we need experience. We don't have time for on-the-job training. We don't have time for anybody to figure it out. We got to be ready to go. And I'm ready to go.
Garrett Mason, thank you so much.
No, it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
night.
For spending a couple minutes with you. I hope you have a great night. Good to see you. We'll talk soon.
Robert Wessels is going to join us now, fresh from the debate stage.
Mr. Wessels, how are you?
I am doing well.
So, Robert,
for doing this.
Well,
thank you so much. I think it's fair to say that stylistically, you and David Jones are on opposite ends of the spectrum.
I suppose some might say that. Yeah, definitely a different approach.
Yeah, you don't have. I noticed this from the beginning. Is you don't do the bombast game is not you. Is this as a result of your life's work?
It really is. Somebody asked me about that. I just said, you never get flustered. You never get, riled up. I'm like, 20 years of retail? Are you kidding me? Like this is nothing.
Yeah.
So no, it absolutely is. It's something that you're just trained with. But the reality is, and I've heard this time and time again, right? Like they're like, oh, you're not a fighter. No, I'm a fighter. I'm just not divisive. Right? I will fight for my principles. I will fight for what is right. I will fight for our state. I've been doing it for the last 2.5 years, and it's absolutely a critical fight. I'm just not divisive.
Have you found that since you've been running, like you said, for 2.5 years, have you found that people are especially receptive to certain messaging? In other words, are there a few buzzwords that you found after 2 years that get people's ears to prick up? Say, wait a second, this guy hears me, he sees me.
I will say there are certainly topics, right, that get people riled up or excited or ready to talk. Education is one of those. Property taxes is absolutely one of those. CMP bills or energy is one of those. Again, as I've been having the conversations, the reality is about 80% of the conversations that I end up having are about those personal economics. It's how am I going to make it through life? And we really should be focused on how can I thrive, but we're just how can I exist? How can I keep going?
Wow, can't imagine the stories that you've heard over the last couple of years.
Yeah. So how do you think tonight went, and then what do you think tomorrow looks like?
So I thought tonight went well. Number one, thank you guys for putting it on. I thought it was wonderful. It was great to see a sold out crowd. And really, again, I said it beforehand, but the idea is let's get that message out. Let's talk about it. We're really similar as far as the 8 of us and where we are on a lot of different topics. That was alluded to. But who we are and how we will approach the governor's position is very different. And people need to be able to see that, to be able to know. And I thought it was very successful tonight to be able to see that.
Robert Wessels, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Guys.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Have a good, safe trip home. Thank you for everything.
Jim Libby. Hey, Jim.
Fun?
I thought it was great.
I thought it was a good night.
I loved it.
Good night.
Absolutely good for the Republican Party. I mean, everyone tried to get the message out, and I think they were effective. We got great candidates, great people up
Yes.
there. I just am so pleased because, I've been doing this for a long time. I started in the 80s working for Bill Cohen, of all people. And I've been fighting for the Republican Party, and I just have seen more energy this year. It may be from all the mistakes the Democrats are making, and they're making a lot of them. But whatever the reason, I'm just so happy because it's an opportunity. We're going to strike while the iron's hot.
Do you think, obviously in 2010, it was the Tea Party. So in comes LePage, in comes a whole bunch of Republicans. I don't notice a Tea Party swell happening. I mean, unless it's silent, Mainers are obviously sick of the corruption. They're sick of not being able to afford this state. They're sick of the craziness in schools. But is there a groundswell somewhere?
I think there is, and I just think that people know the difference between right and wrong. And I mean, you heard all about the contracts that we've been giving out, the illegal contracts. We do a lot of bid rigging. Didn't get too much time to talk about that, but I'm going to in the future. If you take a look at all the money that was spent on autism, where somebody actually didn't provide a service, that's pretty bad. So, I think people look at issues like those education issues and those children with autism, and they say to themselves, "Oh my God, how did we get here?" And so we have now the ability, and some of it is thanks to Mainwire, there's no question about it. We have the ability to get the word out and educate people. And the other part of it is just social media. We're getting better as a party at dealing with social media, and we've never been good at that before.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim, we appreciate your time, and great job today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Jim. Thank you. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Been great.
So thank you so much, Jim. So we'll grab Jonathan Bush here in a moment. Comes.
Mr. Bush.
Ah,
how are you?
Gentlemen.
We got a little fun at the end.
Let's go again.
Let's go again.
Let's do it again.
Like Ernie Bank. Let's play two today.
You want me to listen? I can't.
No, you don't have to
Doesn't
listen.
matter. Okay, good.
So I think that to a lot of people in the room, when you went after Medicaid and the disaster that it's becoming, and to the extent of which it swallowed up Maine's budget and just on so many horrible effects to other parts of the economy.
Right.
It seemed to me you held the room with that messaging, and you got.
I was worried because it's complicated.
It is.
I think that idea of these commissars in their power grab, bloating up Augusta and then shrinking down. We're closing hospitals. We're losing doctors. It's because these hungry hippos are expanding. It's complicated, but we pull that back. We're going to see some beautiful green shoots, much better healthcare, much more affordable.
So you've had a life with a successful business life.
Yeah.
You've been in business.
Yeah.
How are you going to deal with it if you are elected governor and you start making these cuts and downsizing, getting rid of this fraud? They're going to be press herald's going to be calling you a murderer.
Sure.
All sorts of everything they threw at George W. Bush, as a matter of fact. All the vilification. That's all going to hit you. Are you prepared for that?
I am absolutely prepared for that. Half of this race is about people already judging me for who they think I am without having met me, etc. It ain't new to be misjudged, underestimated, overestimated in public life. But if you want to matter, you lean in. And this is a crisis, and somebody who's capable has got to lean in. I've had a great life. The American dream worked out, extraordinary story. But I want to see other people have it. That's more rewarding than one more crack at the apple for me. And I don't think one of the guys, the inside guys we've got, even though they've got a lot of really good specific little examples that they could do, it's not going to carry the weight. This is a relentless, multi-year, endless assault. And if you don't have that kind of energy and the experience of doing that, the technology, the systems, the legal, it's not going to work.
Once again, you were the only candidate on the stage tonight talking about contracting government.
It was strange. Every candidate running for governor on the Republican side has got at least one new program. Ben's got the retraining thing, and Owen's got his special shipyard that the state's going to run. And each one of them has one, and I'm sort of mystified. I don't understand why that goes on our side of the aisle, and it confuses the message. One of the things I learned about doing big things at scale is you've got to be narrow missioned, very specific, and then relentless. If you start letting the waters trickle over the dam, the whole thing comes apart.
Yep.
So this has got to be narrow, shrink Augusta, wake up the free market to occupy the space that we cleared for it, and let Maynard's grow.
So the most awkward time in the room for most people was you know, the spat to your right and left.
Yeah.
But there were some noises when you went after Trump a little bit, or said he's a little odd, essentially, sometimes. How do you thread that needle? Because the MAGA people don't like that.
Which?
The MAGA people don't like it when you say something about Trump that seems like you're denigrating.
I mean, what I've said about Trump is, you know, I was worried about some of his character issues, but the guy delivered on the border and delivered on DEI and delivered the beginning of what should be a restructuring. I don't think that's happened quite yet. And now we're overseas with something. But this is a guy who delivered. And I think part of that is that this is a guy who was an outsider with the ability to operate a business at scale. And I right now am, you know, depending on how you look at the franchise business, Ben's, you know, ran a lovely franchise business and he's a lovely guy. But I had 6,500 direct employees serving 116,000 doctors. That's just on another level. 6 times the size, 7 times the size of the state's entire, more than twice the entire budget, and 6 times the size of the healthcare budget. And I knew where every penny was in their whole world. So I believe that's what we need to sustain this. And I believe that even a guy who wishes I didn't choose someone else in the primary or whatever, we'll see that over time.
Great. Jonathan Bush, thank you so much.
Gentlemen, what a great,
Thank you.
well-executed professional debate. It looks like Republicans are in the House.
Thank you so much.
Loved it. Thanks a lot. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bobby.
Oh, Ben has been next. Yep.
Oh, Ben. Oh, sorry, Ben.
Mr. Midgley, how are you?
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. Have fun tonight?
Bring this in. Yeah, it was fun. Got even funner at the end there, right? For a little while.
Yeah, you had to go after that. So your thoughts on that?
The back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it was great that it was limited just to one adventurous moment on stage. Otherwise, I think it was great. And look, people get passionate about it. My position on attacks in general is, you know, you got to run on your own character and credentials, but this is a, you know, a very passion-filled endeavor. A lot of people are going on, and I think you got to really understand that people are doing this because they all care deeply. And in some situations like that, you know, emotions are going to come out. We had a little bit of that tonight, so you got to respect both of them. And hopefully everybody, you know, moves past that and looks at the bigger picture that the goal is to win.
So some people in the room left when the spat happened, and they didn't want the negativity. They just left. And so people are for some demographic of people, they're sick of politics, the way politics looks in right now.
Sure.
Is that one of the weapons that you bring, that you're not 2026 politics?
No, I mean, on that point, and I think I actually said it at a Lincoln dinner, several Lincoln dinners, right? The country's fractured. There's no doubt about it. Maine is fractured. So I think the way I put it to people is, you know, we don't only have the collective responsibility to win the election, but we have the collective responsibility to bring the state back together, the state that we love. A lot of us grew up here. It was never like this before, you know, and it's okay, even though I'm running in the Republican primary, to talk to somebody on the other side or talk to somebody who's an independent, right? At the end of the day, we need to get people to understand that the goal of what we're trying to do is to just make it better for everybody in the state. Bottom line.
You're not a career politician. You're a businessman. And, you know, when I hear you speak, I hear, you know, a manager, I hear a CEO. How is that going to make you a good governor?
Yeah, well, I mean, I started my career cleaning machines in a gym in exchange for a membership. That's how I started, the very bottom. And I never graduated college. And I think what that did for me is, you know, gave me kind of a chip on my shoulder that I have to learn things better than everybody else, because I didn't have that formal education, right, wrong, or indifferent. So with that in the background, then I grew up in the career a little bit. I ended up in some bad times. I ended up on unemployment food stamps. That gave me a distinct appreciation for not having anything, right, and the value of hard work. So that's how I dug in from there, and then obviously moved up in the industry and learned everything I could about business. So I think structurally, the advantage I have is, I mentioned it on stage, running $1 billion company, creating one from scratch, creating 15,000 jobs. I understand everything about large organizational structural management. And my team is just fantastically dialed, let's just say it, right? They're some of the most experienced people in the state, and they have won governor races before. So those two things together, very formidable. And then look, the governor's job is an executive job. You got 15 departments in the state with 5 to 10 sub-departments under each of them. You got over 14,000 employees, very complicated, financial issues. All the departments have to run efficiently and effectively, and you have to make them better. You need, CEO experience to do that.
We're running out of time here, so great to see you.
I think you had a good night. I think most
Yeah.
people would say so. Thank you so much.
All right, hey, thanks.
Great
guys.
to
All
see
right,
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
I was trying to watch his face. I won't serve you at the
All right, Bobby Charles is over there.
Mr. Charles. Okay, yeah.
Hey, Bobby, nice
Yes,
to
sir.
see you.
Am I close enough to this?
You are perfect. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
That was a fun evening.
I had a blast. If you want to know the truth, I think it was wonderful.
So I went to the stage after the debate finished out, and pretty much everybody shook everybody's hand except for you and one other gentleman.
Well, I got swamped, to be quite honest. I shook everybody's hand afterwards, but one by one except for one.
Yes.
One who probably didn't want to shake my hand. That's all right. But no, I was swamped by people, and I love it. I mean, look, Maine is punching energy into this. Republicans are really engaged at the moment, and I think this debate helped to make them even more engaged. And I'll tell you, it was fun for me. You prepare for these things. It's like preparing for a baseball game and then going out to play shortstop and getting a few balls hit at you, and you get to wrestle them down, and that's good. So I also feel like, and I hope other candidates feel this way, when I am out there on any stage or in any event, I feel like they're putting wind under my wings, even if they think I'm putting wind under their wings. If we do that, we will get voter turnout not only in June, but we'll get voter turnout in November, and we will win this thing.
Well, it seems to me that in the general, if you were to get the nomination in the general, you wouldn't have the attacks that you went to Washington and abandoned Maine. If the likely Democratic frontrunner is the nominee, I don't think those work anymore.
Yeah, look, I'm very proud of my business. I did classified and unclassified work for 25 years. I went away to serve my country. I served 10 years military intelligence, Navy intelligence specifically. I was serving for off and on 3 years in the Reagan White House. Newt Gingrich tapped me. I would have come home earlier, but I kept getting tapped to do things that were significant to the country. I am all about service. That is what defines me, not money, service. And I have nothing against money. If somebody goes out, that's their emotional reward. I'm all for it. Look, I'm a free market guy. But at the end of the day, this state needs people that are dedicated to service first. And that is why I'm here. I think that the pieces of the puzzle fit together. Billions of dollars managed, drug traffickers brought down, education reform, and going after fraud are the exact things that Maine right now needs. So if you'd asked me 3 years ago, am I going to be doing this? I'd say, no, not a chance. I'm waiting for Ronald Reagan to show up. I'm going to support him, and we're going to be good. But no, we don't have that. And so I do think, and I'm going to take this to faith for a moment, I do think you need to listen hard to what God is asking you to do. And I'm not saying God isn't asking other people to step up, but I feel like if you do what you are supposed to be doing, then you're doing the right thing. And I believe, just here's a little idea for you. I think we're all where God wants us right now and doing what we should be doing. As in, this is a meant moment. We are all here where we are meant to be. I do believe that this is the year that the state of Maine steps up and realizes that if we don't get it right now, we will never get another chance. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I can't disagree with that last statement. Tonight I think was a defining debate. I think it was, the pinnacle of the debate season. I mean, what do you think tomorrow looks like with candidates and the campaign and the message?
Some people will probably end up dropping out or falling in behind, but I will tell you right now, what I said at the end is what I think and what I actually believe. One team, one fight starting tonight. And if for some reason someone else had prevailed in this debate and I was disappointed, which I was not, but at the end of the day, we have to be one team. And I'll put it to you this way. In high school, and only in high school, I played football. And I was not a good football player, but I did learn lessons. And one of them is if you leave a hole in the line, they will come through it every single time. We cannot let that happen this year. And so I have had believe it or not, even with that character, I've had good conversations with people all through this cycle. And the reason is I don't take anything personally. I worked for Ronald Reagan and he modeled that. Don't take anything personally. It's not personal. It's just whatever's going on in them. At the end of the day, we have to look at each other and say, we are a team of rivals. We're a powerful team of rivals. We might be the best team of rivals in the history of the main Republican Party running in one cycle. And we need to back each other up. We need to, and I've had conversations, great, I won't name them and I won't go into them, but great conversations with virtually all the other candidates. They all, I think in their heart of hearts, see the same thing. So when the nomination is set, I think we will pull together and we will pull together and we will pull Democrats and we will pull independents or unaffiliateds with us. Believe it or not, I didn't get to say it, but the day after the debate with Troy Jackson, I had Democrats calling me saying, number one, I really like what you said, and I'm with you on things, everything from law enforcement to addiction treatment to the affordability issue. But they said, I had no idea that guy had run the state Senate. I mean, is that who the Democrat? And I said, not only is he the guy the Democrats put there, but think about all the people that voted for him that said, this is our best guy. Yeah, so that's a pretty instructive fact. We are living in a state that has been overrun, as you all know, by public corruption. If we do not get a handle on this right now, this year, we will not get another chance.
Before we let you go,
Yes,
you brought a prop. You brought a
I
piece of
did.
the Berlin Wall.
Yes, sir.
There are smaller pieces to be carrying around, by the way.
That's the piece that I brought back after 1989, having gone over. It's the funniest thing in the world. I tell people, you do not have to teach capitalism. These guys, these young kids were banging down the Berlin Wall after it came down, and then they're sitting around with pieces around them. And I went up to one of these kids and I said, how much for this piece? And he goes, $40.
Oh
I said, I'm not paying $40. Let's get serious about this. How much for this piece? I said, it's just a piece of concrete. He goes, he looks at me, of course, he's looking at me going, American, rich, gotta be, right?
Yes.
He goes, $40. I said, I am not buying it. And then I went and bought it. So the reality is sometimes you do things in life and it seemed to me a way to illustrate that if you can envision it and believe in it and get it done. Everybody thought Ronald Reagan was just talking through his hat. No, if you have it in your mind and you have the conviction and you work for it, you can make even something that seems impossible happen.
Where do you keep it at home?
On my dining room table.
Okay, great. Wow.
I do.
Good.
That's where it sits.
That's a surprising
Kind of an
answer, but
inspiration on a daily
I like
basis.
the answer, but it's a
Yes,
surprising
sir.
answer. Bobby, Charles, we're running out of time because they're kicking us out of here, but pleasure as always. Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining us and good luck.
So let me end by saying you guys are awesome.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly.
All right. Well, there's Bobby Charles and Owen McCarthy.
I'm here. I'm here.
How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are
Well,
you?
I will say something to you that the early consensus was that you came out overachieving.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. I hope it carried through. I felt good through the whole
Created in the
debate.
second half. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
kidding.
exactly.
No. But
Yeah, we hit a pot.
Well, it's easy to do in this state. It's easy.
We gotta fix the roads.
But I got to call him the way I see him. I think
Yeah.
you dominated tonight.
Thank you.
I sincerely think you dominated. I think I think you woke up some people in the room a little bit. So
Yeah.
I mean, you were good. You were prepared, but you were funny and you
Yeah.
have a
yeah.
plan. And
Well, I love the opening question. Right.
Oh,
When
okay.
Steve came out and said, like, look, you're too nice to do this. I'm like, look, I might be someone that's could tell a joke and get along with people, but I'm a fighter. Right. And like I'm glad that I got the opportunity to explain that to the people of Maine.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I think that you come at discussing business needs from a different angle.
Yeah.
And it just your personal story of the medical device invention and your journey it's an unorthodox journey.
Yeah.
For a guy running for a really higher office.
Yeah.
And so that story, I think, it tends to hit all sorts of different people that usually don't get hit by what a candidate says. A lot of the stuff is boilerplate nonsense. But
Yeah.
so do you think that you are especially enriched by your life story?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like I tell the story all the time about how growing up in a
Trailer
small town
park.
like Patton, exactly.
Yep.
Wasn't quite a park, but it was a trailer
Okay.
on my grandfather's land.
Yeah.
Gave me all these advantages, right? Like the hard work, like the accountability. And I had all the while I had great parents and great mentors that I want to make sure that other kids of Maine have, because I can imagine the future. And then it's like with those skill sets you learn in rural Maine, you can take the next hill. You just need to aim people at taking the next hill.
And that's been the story of my life throughout every journey. It's like you have a vision, you have a plan, and then you go take the next hill. And when you get there, you get more information and you go do it again and again and again.
Well, I think you took this hill tonight pretty well. Okay. And I think, we were the early non-scientific polling that we were doing out in the lobby was very positive.
So what do you think tomorrow the campaign looks like for you and the rest of the candidates tonight?
Well, I mean, we get better 1% every day. So tomorrow, I got 2 events I'm going to go to speak and continue to spread the message, because, if you look at the polling, the Pan-Atlantic polling, last one I was statistically tied for second, but I was the most unknown candidate. I need to get out there and meet as many people as possible, and that's what I'm doing. And then we'll be able to get out there and put the message up for voters and be a candidate that has a vision and a plan. So tomorrow it's more talking to the people of Maine, which I love to do.
We'll drive fast home, but
70 something days
fast
left. I
and
think
to the right, 77.
70, not that you're counting or anything.
I'm not counting them. Yeah. Early voting is like 50,
but I mean, it seems so long, seems so far away, just a short time ago. But 77 days is going to go real quick.
I have an email that goes out every day to me that's set up on auto reminder to tell me how many days I have left, so I don't lose track of it. So,
well, good luck. We'll be good taking the journey with you. Owen McCarthy, thank you.
Great job tonight. Great job tonight. Best of luck to you. Thanks for taking a couple minutes with us.
So that is Owen McCarthy, who had John and I both think a good night.
I think unequivocally you have to say that he had a very good night, and I think he woke up. But overall, I would say everybody had a good night. I question why David Jones chose the time and the place that he chose that tonight. But overall, I mean, once again, I said it during like the halftime show. We've got great candidates, and we really need to be proud. But what people need to walk away from this is everybody identified somebody that they like now. But they have to go to work tomorrow. They have to go to the grocery store tomorrow, and they have to tell people, I saw this candidate last night. I need you to do more research on it. I saw this candidate that I really like. Let me tell you why I like them. And this is why you need to vote. Do you know when the primary is? It's June 9th. You need to go out and vote. And if you don't like the candidate that I liked, well, then you have 7 other choices on the stage.
Yes.
But you have to vote. And I say it all the time. If you don't vote, you can't complain.
I completely agree. Yeah, I will say of pleasant surprises, I thought Ben Midgley, I was very impressed with him.
Mm-hmm.
We both mentioned Owen McCarthy. Are we wrapping? Oh, sorry. Is that the police? Oh, we're sorry. We're going.
Oh,
okay. Where are those pizzas? All right. Thank you to everybody here at the Cross Center. Appreciate the hard work you do. Sorry to keep you late.
Thank you, Cross Center.
Didn't mean it. For the Maine Wire, Graham Pollard, he is John Featherston. I am Tom Sheddick. We'll see you tomorrow.